I hate living in the city sometimes. October's energy is calling you to step off of the surface level energetic boundary and to actually dive deep into the roots of your life. Whereas September's energy may have felt more strategic and precise, October brings a current of intensity that promises to uncover what lies beneath the surface. With planets moving into the investigative sign of Scorpio with a little bit of Libra sprinkled in there, don't worry, and the transformative planet of Pluto actually moving direct after a short period of it moving retrograde, this month is not just about calculated plans, but more about revealing truths needed to execute your plans. It's a time for deep conversations, powerful shifts in perspective, and the call for true honesty in your connections and with yourself. And so here is your October 2025 astrology forecast. Whoosh. And in this video, first I will be going over the overall cosmic weather report of October, just so you know what energy to expect on a very detailed level. And then I'll be going into a forecast first based on your rising sign. And if you haven't been here before, this is what you'll learn. I don't just go over your rising sign. I go over the forecast for every major placement in your birth chart, translating these astrological transits into actionable insight that is personalized for you, as you can see by the monster list of timestamps down in the description. My mission is to give you a truly deep understanding of the month ahead, one that creates a bridge between astrology's complex nature with actual real-world application. And if you like detailed forecast videos like this one, or if you like detailed astrological tutorials, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, just to let the algorithm know that this video is your jam. But it also would mean the absolute world to me to know that this type of content is actually helpful, because I spend a lot, and I mean a lot of time making it. So I made a community post talking about how I want to give away a free reading to one of my viewers. And so I don't want to talk about the rules here. I'll put a timestamp down below on where this instruction will be. Don't worry, it's going to be really simple. And so this will tell you how to enter that little contest to win a free birth chart reading from me. And so now we're coming back to the forecast, because that's why I clicked this video. So we're going to start with October's overarching transit so that you can understand the cosmic weather that we are all navigating together. And then we're going to zoom in on your individual placements so that you can see exactly where these energies meet your personal blueprint. And so now that we have that out of the way, let's get into the forecast in 3, 2, 1, go. Now let's talk about the transits that will shape the month of October so that you kind of get your cosmic weather report. You know what to expect in the world, and therefore you know what energy to brace for so that you can use this energy to the best of your ability. And starting on October 1st, we have Mercury in Libra making a square to Jupiter in Cancer. And this is kind of like the social overdraft transit. And so your mind, which is focused on diplomacy or fairness or saying the right thing and being in balance, will come into conflict with your big, protective, emotional heart or sense of passion. And that's represented by Jupiter in Cancer. And so the tension is kind of between what sounds good and then what feels good. And so let's give an example. So for instance, let's say you're at a party or a group event, and in an effort to be charming, you make a grand, heartfelt promise to help a friend with an emotionally draining task, such as moving, and you say yes because you really want to be that fair friend who's there for your friend. But then the next morning, those bed sheets, they feel soft, you're warm, you don't want to get up, and then you realize that you've emotionally overdrawn your account and you really need some rest because work was hard. That's kind of the energy this transit will bring. Or let's say in a work setting, you could enthusiastically agree to take the lead on a major project just to be a team player, only to realize later it conflicts with an important family commitment that you had completely forgotten about. which creates a situation where you've kind of overpromised and underdelivered. This is something to look out for with this transit. And so this energy can bring a conflict between your social grace and your ability to be a yes man, but also your true emotional capacity, urging you to align your words with your feelings. And so before you make any promises at this time, really think about what you're committing to. And I promise that will help you handle this energy to the best of your ability. And then going on to the 6th, we will have Mercury entering Scorpio. And then at the beginning of this transit, this will be making a square to Pluto and Aquarius, which is really worth noting. And so when Mercury, which is the planet of communication, enters the deep and investigative waters of Scorpio, our collective mindset will shift from surface level pleasantries from Libra to a powerful desire for unvarnished truth. And so Scorpio loves to dig deep. You might just be sitting in your office or sitting in your bed, and instead of, trying to ration things out in a balanced way, you really want to get into the heart of the matter. You really feel like the detective at this time. And so conversations will become more probing. Our thoughts turn to psychology and hidden motivations, and we are less interested in what is said than what is meant. And so we may be a little bit more skeptical of people at this time. And then the very beginning of this transit is immediately intensified by the square to Pluto and Aquarius, which brings a feeling of wanting to speak a powerful, uncomfortable truth, but maybe sensing the immense systematic forces that are pushing it back. And so if you want an example in practice, maybe you uncover information at work that feels like a deep-seated issue, but you kind of hesitate to bring it up because you fear challenging the groupthink. So let's say you find a flaw in the system, but it's your kind of bossy manager's idea to have this system, and everybody loves your manager, and if you rat them out, then HR is going to take your manager's side, so you don't want to do it. Or let's say, for example, you try to have a deep, honest conversation with a family member, but you feel shut down by an unspoken family rule that you feel powerless to change. And so the beginning of this transit will especially feel you want to say something or do something regarding something, but you feel blocked by this big overarching force that seems impossible to overcome. And then this energy, it kind of brings an intense pressure to your communications, and it tests your courage to speak truth to power. And so I guess my only advice is, if you must speak the truth, don't just blurt it out. Really be clever with how you do it. Or if you don't blurt it out, find a way to sort of, resolve things without having to speak up, but only if that option is open to you. And then moving on to the 7th, we have the full moon in the sign of Aries. And this is kind of a showdown between I or me versus we and us, because that's kind of what Aries and Libra represents. And so this emotional peak will illuminate your raw personal needs, represented by Aries, placing them in direct opposition to the focus of others or partnerships, or your need to compromise or be balanced in some way, represented by the opposition to Sun in Libra. This is about an undeniable instinctual need for autonomy. And so just for example, maybe you're in a couple or in a relationship and you're trying to decide on weekend plans. Maybe the Libra Sun energy wants to find compromise, but that Aries full moon energy really says, no, this is what I need for my own sanity. I really need to do this thing, and there is no room for compromise, because compromise would completely erase what I'm trying to achieve here. Or another way this could manifest is maybe you finally make a decisive, independent choice about your personal brand or creative identity after months of trying to please everybody else with your choices. You're this is what I like, and I don't care. And even if it creates temporary waves, you're just this is me. And you really want to let out what you are craving with your own personal brand. And so this energy will bring a powerful emotional need for independence and to really let your feelings or your desires out there. But it demands a rebalancing of your key relationships, because it's one thing to really want to do something. It's another thing to completely throw others under the rug. And so my advice is, if there's something about what you want to pursue or your feelings that truly wouldn't hurt anybody if you do pursue that thing, or if you do let it out, My take is to just let it out and don't fear the opinions of others. But if what you're feeling or wanting to do truly can hurt others, it's about figuring out how to create a win-win scenario. And that'll kind of be the key for this transit. And then going on to October 11th, we have Venus and Virgo making an opposition to Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And this transit kind of acts as like a potent reality check for our relationships or our passions as well as our values. And so your desire to show love or passion in any way through practical, perfect acts of service or really getting things, together will slam into a wall of limitation, duty, or emotional reality. And so this could feel like maybe you meticulously plan the perfect date night to fix a relationship problem, only for your partner to be too emotionally drained to even notice. Or let's say in a work context, you might spend the entire week perfecting a report for your boss, only to have them barely glance at it and then give a vague, dismissive comment, making your meticulous effort feel completely devalued and pointless. And so this energy can bring a sobering reality check to your relationships or your passions or your efforts in some way, revealing where your efforts are not meeting the true need. And this can also just be a time to realize, what do people think of me? Do they appreciate my efforts? Am I making efforts for nothing, or are my efforts going to be recognized? And this can kind of help you make sure that you're not overextending yourself as well, as long as you use this energy correctly. And then going on to the 13th, we have Venus entering the sign of Libra, where Venus loves the sign of Libra, by the way, a lot more than Virgo. No offense. I like Virgo energy, but it's more of a Mercury thing, And at the beginning of this transit, there will be an opposition to Neptune in Aries. And so as Venus, which is the planet of love, passion, and relationships, enters its home sign of Libra, there is a collective sigh of relief. This energy brings a focus on harmony, fairness, beauty, and the art of partnership in some way, highlighting our desire for social connection, diplomacy, or win-win scenarios in some way. However, the first part of this otherwise smooth transit is immediately cast in a romantic fog as Venus forms an opposition to Neptune. And this is kind of like the classic rose-colored glasses energy. Maybe you go on a first date and completely project an idealized personality onto the other person, ignoring all red flags. Or maybe in existing relationships, you could hear an idealized version of what you wanted to hear, leading to a major misunderstanding down the road when the reality doesn't match the fantasy. Or maybe you want to really exercise a passion about something that you want to do, like a project, and you kind of over idealize either how much effort it's going to take or how it's going to be received. And so you're asked to stay grounded at this time, and to really, if you're going to exercise any of your ideas, wait until Venus is out of the opposition with Neptune, because this energy casts almost like this dreamy, idealistic, yet potentially deceptive fog over your interactions, especially in love. And it's good to be a little dreamy, but you can use this dreamy energy to really come up with creative ideas. And then once you can ground it later in the month, you can exercise and put it into reality. And then going to October 14th, this is a big one because we have Pluto finally going direct in Aquarius. This is kind of everybody's been sleeping when it comes to their transformation, and it is time to wake up and really get things going, because Pluto, which is the planet of deep systematic transformation, will start moving forward again in the sign of society, groups, change in technology. So maybe a community project focused on technological change that has been stuck in limbo could suddenly get green light and funding. But on a more personal level, maybe a deep internal transformation that you've been undergoing regarding your social identity or your role in society, it may now start to manifest in your external reality. You've been working hard, and now's when the train starts to go, perhaps with you taking on a powerful new leadership role in a group you belong to, or just simply starting a project that really aligns with who you want to be in society. And so this energy is going to act as a major green light for long-stalled transformative projects, especially those related to your community or your role in society in some way. And then going on to the 17th, we will be having Sun in Libra making a square to Jupiter in Cancer. And so this transit involves your core identity in some ways, clashing with your emotional needs. Something about your sense of self, which is expressed through how you relate to others in the world, which is represented by Libra, may feel challenged by an overwhelming need for comfort in some way with Jupiter in Cancer. And so, for example, let's say you're trying to network or get a new job and you're trying to be charming, you're trying to be fun, but let's say you get a family obligation that pulls you away from applying for jobs, making it impossible to feel present when it comes to what you're pursuing. Or let's say in a relationship, your desire to be a fair and equal partner could conflict with a powerful, almost childlike need to be nurtured and cared for, which creates a moment of friction. Let's say you had a really bad day, but your partner, for some reason, they had a much worse day. And so you kind of have to balance that out, because this energy can create a powerful pull between your public identity or your identity in general and your emotional needs. And this asks you to honor your foundations without completely tearing everything apart. And at the end of the day, because it's cardinal energy, it truly requires balance. And then going on to the 20th, we have Mercury conjoining with Mars in Scorpio, and this conjunction of planets will be trining Jupiter in Cancer. And this is a day of really powerful, strategic, and emotionally intelligent action. And so your thoughts and actions are fused with the intensity and focus of Scorpio energy. And so this is the perfect day for a deep therapeutic breakthrough or a transformative conversation about a deep subject in your life, but it's also powerful in a professional context. You could use this energy to meticulously research a competitor's weakness. Let's say if you're making a business, for example, and then executing a brilliant strategic moves that pulls you ahead. Or same with if you're applying for jobs, maybe you understand the weaknesses of how other people are applying for jobs, and you make that strategic move that puts you above the rest, all while having the emotional intelligence to maintain key relationships. And so this energy provides a rare opportunity for precise, powerful, and compassionate communication that can create deep breakthroughs. And so whatever goal you're trying to achieve, whatever energy you're feeling around October 20th, listen to it, because it is probably the idea that is really going to push you forward, and this gives you the energy to execute it to the best of your ability. And then moving on to the 21st, we have the new moon in Libra. And so this is a new beginning, but it's born under pressure because this new moon wants to plant a seed of peace and diplomacy and being fair, but it's being squeezed from two sides. And so this can look like you trying to start a new business partnership, but it immediately becomes challenged by your family's emotional concerns about the risk and the underlying power structures of the industry that you're trying to enter. Or let's say you're in a relationship, for example, you could try to establish a new, healthier dynamic with a partner, but find that it's challenged by your friend group's influence and your own deep-seated emotional baggage from past relationships. And so you're trying to establish fairness in some way. This could also be with creative projects or anything you do, but you're going to see where the imbalances lie because the scales will be visible, the weights will be put on them, and you're going to see what's tipped with super sharp focus. And so this energy offers a chance to start this new chapter, but it demands that you navigate intense external pressures to do so. And when you're making a decision, honestly, you can use that Scorpio energy I talked about earlier, but really make sure that you create win-win scenarios where possible. And then going on to the 22nd, Neptune will be leaving the sign of Aries because it's been in retrograde and it's going to re-enter Pisces. And so the cosmic fog will shift because as Neptune, which is the planets of dreams, disillusion, it kind of also touches on the culture, artistic culture, the idealized vision of society. It's going to re-enter its home sign of Pisces. And so the energy moves from a confusing search for individual identity marked by Aries to a more collective, compassionate focus. All of this, crazy stuff that seems a little bit tense that's been going on, we're going to go back to that energy of collective and compassionate focus. And so you may suddenly feel less angsty about your personal path and more empathetic to the struggles of those around you, feeling a desire to volunteer or create art that speaks to a universal theme. Or conversely, where you once felt motivated to act, you might now feel a sense of listlessness or a desire to escape into the dreams and spiritual pursuits, as personal ambition gives way to more boundless and sometimes passive energy. And so it's been a very tense year, as you know. This might be a time where, we kind of feel exhausted and we want to put our minds away and go back to a simpler time, And so this energy shifts the collective mood from a search of personal identity to a more compassionate, spiritual, and sometimes escapist focus. And so this is a really good time to extend compassion, but be careful of escapism and don't truly escape your reality, because there's still things that you're trying to achieve. And this is just, allowing you to really get in touch with that soft side again. And so use it to really embrace that softness so that when you do make moves, you make moves that are on like true self-esteem or with a true mission, if that makes sense. And then going on to the 23rd, the sun will be entering Scorpio. And at first, anything entering Scorpio is going to have a rough time for a bit, because at first it will be making a square to Pluto and Aquarius. And this is going to be a dynamic that happens for a long time, just Scorpio squaring Aquarius. But this square to the sun will only happen at first, so don't stress about it too much. But as the sun, which represents our core vitality, enters the deep and powerful sign of Scorpio, the collective mood is going to intensify a little bit. Our focus shifts from external harmony to internal truth or power dynamics and the mysteries of life. Everything is going to feel deep and real. And so the very beginning of this Scorpio season will be marked by a powerful test, as the sun immediately forms a square to Pluto. And so this can feel like you're finally deciding to commit fully to a deep personal passion project, only to have your friend group criticize it for not aligning with their collective goals. But it could also manifest as you trying to take control of your own transformation, only to be met by a powerful impersonal force, like a company policy or even like a country-wide policy in whatever country you live in, that completely disrupts your personal strategy. And so this energy creates potent power struggles between your personal drive for transformation and the unyielding forces of the collective. And then the last transit we'll be going over is that Mercury will be entering Sagittarius and immediately opposing with Uranus and Gemini. And when Mercury, which is our collective mindset, enters the expansive and optimistic sign of Sagittarius, our thinking is going to get a major upgrade. We shift from deep investigation to a search for the big picture, focusing on philosophy, truth, and future possibilities. And so the first part of this transit is immediately electrified by an opposition to Uranus, which is the planet of surprise. This creates a mentally electric atmosphere where our grand beliefs are zapped almost by bolts of disruptive information. And so, for example, maybe you're passionately explaining a new theory that you have, and then one of your friends stands up and says, well, actually, I can debunk that, and here's the evidence. And then they present evidence, and then you're like, wow, I did not know that. And you learn something new that kind of shocks you. But it can also play out with travel plans. Maybe you're excitingly booking a trip, only to get unexpected emails with information that makes the entire trip impossible, or at least very difficult, like moving your flight time, for example. So now you can't make your connection, which forces you to change your plans in an instant. And so the energy brings sudden insights, but it also could bring disruptive news, creating mentally electric atmospheres where plans and beliefs can change in an instant. And so that is your October, at least from a grand standpoint. If you want to see how this can play out for you personally, as well as how you personally can utilize the energy to the best of your ability, please go down to the description, look for your personal placements and your timestamps. Click all the timestamps, watch your timestamps, really take it in, and see how you can make the most out of this October. For my Aries risings, October is about navigating the intricate dance between your independent drive and how you connect with others in the world. You are being called to find a new kind of power, one that is forged not just in solitary action, but in deep, honest, and sometimes challenging interactions. This month teaches you that true strength lies in balancing what you want for yourself versus what you create with others or share with the world. The month begins with a focus on your significant one-on-one connections, whether these are with a client, a collaborator, or even an internal conflict with yourself or a romantic partner. You may feel at odds with your need for private peace and security. And around October 1st, as Mercury makes a square to Jupiter, you could feel an urge to have big optimistic conversations or take commitments to the next level, only to find it stirs up your own emotional need for a stable foundation, or it could question your security in some way. And as your focus shifts to deeper matters like shared resources and psychology, you could feel a compelling drive to uncover hidden truths, such as with traumas, for example. And then around October 6th, as Mercury enters Scorpio and squares with Pluto, this investigative energy could create power dynamics within your social or professional networks, as your intense focus may not align with the group's or society's agenda in some way. And the full moon is in your sign on October 7th, and this acts as a moment of piercing clarity. A personal need may come to light, forcing you to assert your identity. And moving on to mid-October, the balance between your daily responsibilities and your inner world comes to a focus. Around October 11th, when Venus opposes Saturn, you could feel pulled between your practical demands of like your job and a tangible need for spiritual solitude. So like maybe you have a lot of work to do, but you feel a little bit disconnected from that, or maybe your need to work a bunch pulls you away from having sort of this spiritual solitude. And as Venus enters Libra on the 13th, it brings a desire for harmony in your interactions, but its opposition to Neptune warns you that you might get swept up in an appealing idea or an idealized vision of a connection. So be careful not to lose your own sense of self in the process. And the major news is that Pluto is stationing direct on the 14th, giving you a cosmic green light to move forward on a long-term goal or within an alliance that feels stuck. And this is your chance to reconnect with your network and pursue your greatest ambitions focused on your dreams. And so this is a good time to be ambitious. And then the new moon on the 21st offers a fresh start in how you relate to others, asking you to form connections that support your growth, not limit it. And then going on to late October, as the Sun enters Scorpio on the 23rd, the end of the month takes you into deeper waters, drawing your energy into the hidden aspects of life like joint finances, deep psychological patterns, or true intimacy with yourself or others. You could feel a powerful drive to transform something in your life, like a fear or a trauma, from the inside out. This personal journey might not be fully understood by those in your wider circle, and so avoid getting into power struggles while you do this deep inner work. And then the final week will bring a jolt of disruptive genius, especially around October 29th, as Mercury opposes with Uranus. And so a sudden brilliant idea for a marketing campaign or a new way of communicating could challenge your normal way of thinking. Maybe an unexpected opportunity to travel or study could appear, even if it's within your own home. Maybe there's a new cause you want to study, which forces you to rethink your immediate plans and embrace innovative schedules. And so in conclusion, October is a masterclass in shared power. You are learning that your fiery independence becomes even more potent when you engage in authentic collaboration and interaction. And by facing the complexities of intimacy and shared resources, you reclaim a deeper sense of personal power. The goal is to build connections and alliances that honor both your autonomy and your capacity for deep engagement with the world. For my Taurus risings, this month is about transforming your daily life into a source of stability and deep satisfaction. You are being challenged to look at your most important one-on-one dealings with radical honesty and to build career or goals that align with your authentic reflection of however you're evolving. And so this is about finding the sacred in your routines and power in how you connect. Starting with early October, your focus at the start of the month is on work and wellness. You could feel an optimistic unrealistic urge to take on a large project at work, for example, only to find the sheer volume of details overwhelming. Or you could have a new goal on what you want to do with work or habits and find that the steps needed to improve things to be a lot. Your attention in early October eventually shifts to one-on-one interactions, where after Mercury enters Scorpio on the 6th, you may feel a drive for deeper, more investigative conversations with individuals and a deep look at how you exchange energy with others. The desire for truth could challenge your professional goals in some way, as private dynamics and how they affect your interactions with others may not align with your public reputation. And so, like, for example, if you grew up with a more positive communication style, you may find that stoicism will be more effective when it comes to connecting with others and your goals for some reason in this period of time. And then the full moon on October 7th illuminates your subconscious world, bringing a powerful urge for rest and release. And you could feel an undeniable need to cancel obligations and spend time in solitude to recharge, which is a crucial act of self-care amidst the daily grind. Moving on to mid-October, the interplay between the creative expression you have and your social life will be highlighted, because around October 11th, as Venus opposes Saturn, you could be diligently working on a personal hobby only to feel that it is disconnected from the expectations of your wider network, or you may be feared judgment in some ways could stop you from pursuing your passions. And when your focus on wellness becomes a source of pleasure, you could start a new aesthetically pleasing routine, but be wary of idealizing it to the point of rigidity. And the most significant shift for you is that Pluto is stationing direct in your career sector on the 14th. And so a professional ambition that has been slowly developing can now accelerate, empowering you to take decisive action and claim your authority in some way. It's time to make pivotal decisions around what you want to do. And then the new moon on the 21st offers a fresh perspective or start on your habits, asking to build a routine that truly nourishes you and your soul. And then moving on to late October, as the sun enters Scorpio on the 23rd, your energy is directed towards your most important one-on-one connections. You may feel a drive for more intensity, truth, and transformation in how you relate to significant people, or even how you negotiate a contract. As Sun squares Pluto, this intense focus on partnership dynamics could create a powerful struggle within your career or public reputation, forcing you to see the world in a new way. So look out for that. It could be maybe you want to relate to others differently, or maybe it's you want to, invite more open people who are receptive to you into your public sphere. And the month closes with a spark of financial insight, because around the 29th, as Mercury opposes Uranus, a sudden idea for investing or managing or bringing in money could be brilliant, but may also disrupt your sense of stability, forcing you to create a more flexible budget and approach to your resources. Balance will be the key at this time. And so in conclusion, October is about building a life that feels good from the inside out. And by being honest about what you need from your key connections, you can create deeper and more authentic interactions. By bringing discipline into your creative life and taking bold action in your career, you build a public life that is both successful and soul satisfying. Your greatest security this month comes from honoring your need to both rest and relate in an authentic manner. For my Gemini risings, get ready for foundational reset on your creative expression and daily life. This month is about getting serious about what brings you joy and building practical systems that support your well-being. You are being pushed to find the balance between your expansive ideas and the detailed work required to make them a reality. Starting with early October, the month kicks off with a burst of creative and pleasurable energy. Around the 1st, as Mercury squares Jupiter, you may feel a desire to express yourself through grand, optimistic gestures, like planning a lavish event or a personal project, but this could clash with the reality of your budget or the reality of the logistics that it would take for this thing to happen. And when your focus shifts to your work and health, though, especially as Mercury enters your 6th house in Scorpio on the 6th, your mind becomes incredibly analytical, and eventually decision-making will become easier at this time. But you may also feel a drive to get to the bottom of an inefficiency in a workflow or a task that feels tedious compared to the grand structure that you're dreaming of. And then with the full moon on the 7th, this brings a climax to your social life or aspirations and future goals. Maybe a goal related to a group or network could come to a head, and you could feel a strong urge to take the lead, creating a new initiative that resonates with you. And then moving on to mid-October, your focus turns to your home and your inner world, because around the 11th, with Venus opposing Saturn, you could feel a tension between creating a structured, practical home environment and the demands of your career. Maybe your work will be so busy that it's hard to relax at home, or maybe past struggles could come to a head, but it makes achieving your ambitions feel a bit limiting due to the restrictive inner landscapes of your past. But as Venus enters Libra on the 13th, your creative and playful side will be activated, and you'll find pleasure in self-expression. But this desire for fun could be clouded by confusion about your long-term goals due to its opposition with Neptune. But don't worry, this will soon clear up, because the major news is that Pluto is stationing direct on the 14th, signaling forward movement in your beliefs or your higher education, or how you expand and explore within the world. Maybe a course of study or a journey that has been stalled can now proceed. And the new moon on the 21st will offer a fresh start in your creative life, inviting more joy and passion in, but it requires commitment, not just fantasy. Going to late October, as the sun enters Scorpio on the 23rd, your energy shifts to the practical side of life. You'll feel a powerful drive to transform your daily habits or get to the root of a wellness issue. As the sun squares with Pluto, this intense focus on your work or health regimen could create friction with your long-held beliefs, your travel plans, or educational pursuits. Or maybe your beliefs will sort of hinder your work and your routines in some way. And this new routine that you have could also trigger fears that you now have to tackle. Like an example is maybe you need to improve your diet, but you need to overcome fear surrounding food. This is just one way it can play out, but take what resonates, obviously. And then the month ends with the spark in your one-on-one dealings, because around the 29th, as Mercury opposes Uranus, a strong urge for more open and expansive conversations can bring breakthroughs. Maybe a collaborator could suddenly propose a new radical direction in whatever you are pursuing. Or an interaction could provide a brilliant idea that challenges your own sense of identity, forcing you to grow however that looks for you. And so in conclusion, October is a deep rebalancing act between your creative spirit and the practical reality. You are learning that joy requires structure and that big ideas need solid daily routines to come to life. And by getting serious about your well-being and disciplined with your creative gifts, you build a life that is not only fun, but also sustainable. And your greatest breakthroughs come from seeing the genius in the details. For my Cancer risings, this month is a deep dive into your emotional foundations and creative expression. You are being called to pour your energy into what truly nourishes you, whether that's your home environment, your innermost self, or your unique passions. This is a process of reclaiming your power from the inside out, learning that a secure foundation is the launch pad for your greatest public achievements. Starting with early October, your attention at the start of the month is centered on your home and private life, because around October 1st, as Mercury squares Jupiter, you may feel a wave of optimism or a genuine desire to expand your own personal world. This could manifest as an urge to redecorate, host gatherings, or simply deepen your sense of inner security. This expansive feeling might feel at odds with your own personal drive, creating a tension between your private desires and how you present yourself to the world. For instance, you might want to create a cozy, receptive atmosphere in your home, but also feel a strong need to assert your own independence separate from that, which can feel conflicting. Your focus then shifts to creativity, pleasure, and self-expression. You could feel a powerful, almost magnetic pull to explore a passion project, perhaps by working on a piece of art with deep emotional themes or losing yourself in a new hobby. The key here is to remember that this expression is for you before it's for anybody else. The full moon on the 7th illuminates your career sector, and so a professional project could reach a climax bringing you public recognition. You could also feel an undeniable urge to assert your leadership with confidence, perhaps by taking charge of a presentation or a pursuit, or making a key decision that really advances your career in some way. And then going to mid-October, your focus shifts to your mind and your local environment. You may experience a tension between a desire to speak with analytical precision and a grander, more philosophical vision you hold. You could be trying to write a detailed plan, for example, but find yourself getting lost in the big picture, which could feel frustrating. And as your home becomes a source of beauty and harmony, especially as Venus enters Libra on the 13th, you might spend time and resources creating a peaceful, aesthetically pleasing environment in some way. This domestic bliss, however, could feel at odds with a stressful or demanding situation at work, highlighting a need for better work-life balance. But the most significant transit is Pluto stationing direct on the 14th, signaling forward momentum in the deepest areas of your life, including shared finances, intimacy, and psychological healing. A conversation about a sensitive topic that has been stalled may now proceed, or you may finally feel ready and empowered to address a long-standing debt or engage in meaningful therapeutic work. The new moon on the 21st offers a potent refresh for your home and sense of inner security, inviting you to set new intentions for what safety feels like for you. And then going to late October, the end of the month is all about creative fire, because as the sun enters Scorpio on the 23rd, your energy is directed towards pleasure, personal projects, and play. You could feel a powerful, non-negotiable drive to express yourself authentically in whatever it is that you do. And as the sun squares with Pluto, this intense need for self-expression could create a power struggle related to some fear that you have, or maybe intimacy, or maybe some psychological pattern you can't let go of. For example, a passion project may require more funding than expected, or a romantic dynamic could bring up deeper issues around vulnerability and control. And as the month concludes with an expansive focus on your work and health routines, this is when stuff may come together. You may be flooded with big genius level ideas for improving your daily life. Then with the Mercury-Uranus opposition in your 6th and 12th, a flash of insight could reveal a new approach to your well-being that requires you to let go of an old self-limiting belief, such as the idea that you are too busy for proper self-care. This disruption is a catalyst for deep healing. And so in conclusion, October is about tending to your roots to support your most ambitious growth. By pouring energy into your home, inner life, and creative passions, you build a deep reservoir of emotional security and confidence. This inner work is key to unlocking your public potential and healing your relationship with power and intimacy. And your most authentic expression is born from a place of genuine safety and dedicated self-nurturing. For my Leo risings, October is a masterclass in communication and building a stable foundation. Your mind is buzzing with ideas and you're being called to ground your grand vision in a private life that feels secure and authentic. This process is about understanding your own roots more deeply so that you can transform how you relate to others, building more powerful and honest alliances. Starting with early October, the month opens with a flurry of mental activity. Around the 1st, as Mercury squares Jupiter, your mind is buzzing with big, optimistic ideas, and you may feel a strong urge to share them, perhaps by starting a newsletter, engaging with your local community, or just being more active in conversations. But this can create tension with your need for rest and retreat, as your active mind might make it hard to switch off and recharge. Your thoughts then shift to your home and private life, where you may feel a drive to investigate your personal history or have a deep internal dialogue about your foundations. This introspective focus could feel at odds with the perspective of someone close to you, as your need to process internally might conflict with their desire for external connection, so look out for that. And the full moon on October 7th will illuminate your area of travel and learning, and so you may have a major realization about your worldview or feel a powerful, undeniable urge to break free and expand your horizons, perhaps by suddenly booking a solo trip that you have been dreaming of, or enrolling in a course or an independent study that challenges your beliefs. It could even be you looking up articles and learning about something new. And then going to mid-October, your focus turns to your resources and personal values, because around the 11th, as Venus opposes Saturn, you could feel a tension between disciplined, structured approaches to to your own finances or self-worth and the complexities of any shared resources, debts, or intimate exchanges. You could be carefully budgeting only to have an unexpected joint venture or expense throw your plans into disarray. As your mind becomes a source of harmony after Venus enters Libra on the 13th, you will likely find pleasure in graceful diplomatic communications. Be sure, however, to seek genuine clarity over mere pleasantries and avoid misunderstandings down the line. The major turning point, though, is that Pluto is stationing direct in your relationship sector on the 14th. A dynamic in a key one-on-one connection, be it with a client, collaborator, or even a competitor or a romantic interest that has been slowly transforming, can now move forward with greater purpose. Maybe it's a new level of commitment in some way, or it could be a new way of pursuing relationships if you don't really have many. Or maybe a long-standing negotiation could finally break through, or clarity may emerge around a commitment you have. The new moon on the 21st as well offers a fresh start for your ideas, communication style, and local connections. Going on to late October, as the sun enters Scorpio on the 23rd, your energy turns inward to your home and foundations. Your vitality is focused on your private life, and you may feel a powerful drive to transform your living situation, declutter your space, heal old wounds from the past, whatever resonates. And as the sun squares Pluto, this intense focus on your inner world could create power struggles or intense dynamics with partners or other key individuals. For instance, maybe your desire to control your home environment might challenge the balance in your most important connection, or maybe there's something about how you connect with others that really challenges your sense of safety and security. And as the month ends, it ends with a spark of creative genius, because around the 29th, with Mercury opposite Uranus, your mind may be drawn to fun and pleasure, full of big optimistic ideas. Maybe a sudden inspired concept for an artistic project or a romantic gesture could challenge the goals or expectations of a group that you're a part of, asking you to courageously champion your new unique voice. So in conclusion, this month is about finding the vital connection between your thoughts, home, and your one-on-one interactions. By courageously exploring your personal history and emotional landscape, you create a more secure foundation for yourself, and this inner stability is a key for transforming how you relate to others, allowing you to create alliances built on honesty and shared power. Your words have the power to create both beauty and breakthroughs, so choose them wisely. For my Virgo risings, this is your personal reset, focused on your resources, your voice, and your daily reality. You are being called to align your finances with your deepest values and to communicate with a newfound depth and intensity. This process is all about building a life that is not only efficient but practical and also deeply empowering from the ground up. The month begins with a focus on your personal finances and sense of self-worth. You may feel an optimistic urge to expand your income, perhaps by taking a calculated risk or an investment on pitching a new service. This impulse, however, could create tension with the expectations of your social circle, community, or even be challenged by the rules of society whose goals may not align with your personal financial strategy. And when your mind turns to your local environment and communication after Mercury enters Scorpio on the 6th, it becomes sharp and investigative. You could feel a drive to get to the bottom of a local issue or to have a conversation that uncovers a hidden truth. This intense direct communication style, while effective, could clash with the demands of your daily work schedule, which may require a more surface level or routine approach, or you could burn yourself out. And then the full moon on the 7th illuminates your area of shared resources and intimacy. Maybe a matter related to a loan or debt or a deep psychological pattern could come to a head. You could feel a powerful urge to take control of a joint financial situation or assert your needs and boundaries within an important intimate dynamic, or to finally go to therapy. So take what resonates. And then going to mid-October, the balance between your sense of self and how you relate to others is highlighted, because around the 11th, as Venus in your sign opposes with Saturn, you could feel a tension between a disciplined, practical approach to your personal identity and the needs or projections of another person. Maybe a desire to be self-reliant and handle things your way could create friction with a key partnership that requires more collaboration. And as your focus on personal finances becomes a source of pleasure after Venus enters Libra on the 13th, you will find harmony in creating security and stability. But be wary of illusions or wishful thinking in any business dealings. Ensure beauty is backed by substance. But the most important transit is that Pluto is stationing direct on the 14th, signaling forward momentum in your work and health. And so maybe a long-term project to improve your well-being or optimize your workflow can now accelerate. Or maybe you finally find an effective solution to a chronic health issue or see a complex work project begin to gain real traction. And then the new moon on the 21st offers a fresh start for your finances and self-worth, so this is something to look forward to. Then moving on to late October, your mental energy becomes a key theme because as the sun enters Scorpio on the 23rd, your mind is activated and you may feel a powerful drive to communicate with depth, strategy, and intensity. You are not interested in small talk or surface level thoughts. You want to get to the core of the matter. And as the sun squares Pluto, these intense communications could disrupt your daily work or health routines. And so, for example, maybe uncovering a hidden truth might force you to completely transform an inefficient workflow or a habit that you carry into your day-to-day life, or maybe your habits and the way that your habits are evolving will force you to confront a fear that you didn't know you had. And so the month ends with your focus turning into your home and foundations, where you will be full of big optimistic ideas. Maybe a brilliant idea to work from home permanently, or the start of a home-based business could emerge. Or maybe there's something about setting your goals or creating your goals that could really be channeled from deep within. This flash of insight may challenge your current career path, potentially requiring a major conversation with superiors or a reassessment of your public role in the path that you take to get there. And so in conclusion, this month is about owning your power, both financially and intellectually. And by aligning your resources with authentic values, you build a true and lasting sense of security that comes from within. And by daring to speak with depth and conviction, you transform your influence on your immediate environment. And this practical discipline changes that you have made to your daily life are now the foundation for a more empowered and sustainable future. And so that's what you can look forward to this month. If you are a Libra rising, then October puts you in the spotlight, but the real work is about aligning your external ambitions with your internal world. This month begins with you feeling communicative and charming because around October 1st, as Mercury squares with Jupiter, you may be sharing a grand optimistic vision for your career or public life. This could create some tension, however, as your big professional ideas might feel at odds in some way with your personal identity, perhaps stirring up a bit of imposter syndrome. For example, you could pitch a brilliant idea at work, or you may try to achieve a goal within your public role, but then feel a wave of anxiety, questioning if you can actually deliver or if you are truly ready for that level of responsibility. And so you have to turn this pain into power. After October 6th, though, when Mercury enters Scorpio, your thoughts then turn to your finances and self-worth with a drive to get to the bottom of a financial matter, such as analyzing your spending habits or strategizing how to bring in more income. This intense focus on security might feel restrictive compared to the spontaneous, fun, or creative expression that you would rather be pursuing. The full moon on the 7th, though, illuminates the partnership sector of your chart, and so a dynamic with a close collaborator, a client, or a key individual in your life may reach a critical point, urging you to have a crucial conversation to create more authentic balance in that dynamic. And then in mid-October, your attention shifts to your inner world and need for rest, because around the 11th, as Venus opposes with Saturn, you may feel a tension between a disciplined spiritual practice like a daily meditation and a chaotic work schedule that keeps interrupting your peace, or it could be the opposite. And so you might feel too withdrawn to properly execute your work, or you might feel so busy that you feel pulled away from your center. And when your ruler of Venus enters your sign on the 13th, you become in your element, likely feeling more attractive, charming, and diplomatic. However, this focus on self-love and pleasure could lead to overindulgence that throws your health routine off track a little bit, because the pivotal moment is that Pluto will be stationing direct in the creative sector in your chart on the 14th. And so a deep transformation in your relationship with joy, self-expression, and pleasure can now move forward. A creative block may finally break, or you may feel empowered to pursue a hobby with a new level of passion and commitment. The new moon in your sign on the 21st as well offers a fresh start to your identity and your personal goals, giving you a renewed sense of self-esteem. And then going to late October, as the sun enters Scorpio, your focus will shift on what you value the most. Your energy is directed towards your finances and your self-worth, with a powerful drive to build security and take control of your resources. And as the sun squares with Pluto, this intense focus on your material world could create a power struggle related to a creative project, a romantic affair, or how you experience pleasure. For example, you might feel that the cost of a beloved hobby that you have is becoming too high, or maybe a financial reality could transform your approach to fun and self-expression in some way. And this month ends with a flurry of new ideas, because around the 29th, as Mercury opposes with Uranus, a sudden insight during a conversation could completely change your perspective on a long-held belief, offering a revolutionary new way of thinking. And this breakthrough and understanding can help you become more effective at reaching your personal goals. And in conclusion, this month is a deep recalibration of your personal and professional life, because by advocating for your vision at work while staying true to your authentic self, you build a genuine sense of confidence. And then by reclaiming your joy and getting serious about your passions, you unlock a new level of potent self-expression. This journey is about creating a life where your inner peace and your outer success are in perfect harmonious alignment. For my Scorpio risings, this month is a deep dive into your own psyche, culminating in a powerful personal renewal. You are being called to explore your inner world with courage, speak your truth with conviction, and heal your emotional foundations from the inside out. This is a process of clearing out old psychological patterns to make way for a more authentic and revitalized version of you. Starting in early October, the month begins with a focus on your inner world and need for solitude. You may feel a desire to expand your worldview through spiritual study, meditation, or even quiet contemplation. And so this introspective urge could feel at odds with the noise of your daily environment and constant influx of information from the news cycles. And when Mercury enters your sign on the 6th, your mind becomes exceptionally sharp and your communication becomes more direct and investigative. You will likely feel a drive to speak your truth and get to the core of matters, but this intensity could be perceived as challenging or overly serious by those in your immediate circle. The full moon on the 7th, though, illuminates the area of your work and your daily routines. A project could come to powerful completion, or you may have a sudden realization about your well-being, urging you to take charge of your habits and perhaps starting a new vigorous health regimen to feel more in control of your physical vitality. And then moving on to mid-October, the balance between your social connections and creative expressions will be highlighted. You may feel a tension between being disciplined, reliable presence within your network and your personal desire for free-flowing and spontaneous creative play. You might have to choose between a group obligation or a societal one and a personal passion project. And as you find pleasure in solitude and spiritual practices after Venus enters Libra on the 13th, be wary of spiritual bypassing, because your inner peace should ideally help you to handle your daily life with more grace, not become an escape for it. And the most significant transit is that your ruler, which is Pluto, will be stationing direct on October 14th. A deep transformation related to your home or your inner security or your emotional foundations can now move forward with power. You might finally feel ready to heal a deep wound from your past or make a decisive change to your living situation, feeling psychological weights being lifted. And the new moon on the 21st will offer a fresh start into your spiritual life in some way, presenting a chance to release old baggage for good. And then moving on to late October, the spotlight will turn to you, because as the sun enters your sign on the 23rd, you may feel revitalized with a powerful drive to pursue your personal goals and assert your identity. As the sun squares with Pluto, though, this renewed sense of purpose might create tension or a power struggle within your home or related to a foundational part of your life, challenging like an internal dynamic of sorts. But then the month ends with your focus turning to your finances, where you will be full of big optimistic ideas for increasing your income or restructuring your assets. And then around the 29th, as Mercury opposes with Uranus, a sudden insight on how to monetize a hobby or how to gain skills or resources from your hobbies and enjoyment could be brilliant, but it may require a direct conversation about how this new income stream or how this new resource will be managed if it involves shared assets or resources, such as needing money for a loan or credit or a beneficiary, for example. But you could also need to overcome a deep internal fear of failure, even if you already have the resources needed to take this venture on. And so in conclusion, October is your personal renaissance. And by courageously exploring your inner depths and healing your emotional roots, you prepare the ground for a new powerful beginning. You are stepping into your season with renewed clarity, charisma, and a potent sense of purpose. Your words have incredible power now, so use them to build the authentic life that you are ready to command and create. For my Sagittarius risings, this month is about the delicate balance between your social life and your inner world. You are being called to release subconscious patterns so that you can communicate with greater authenticity and build a career that is a true reflection of your adventurous spirit. This is a journey that moves from private healing and introspection to powerful public influence. Starting in early October, the month starts with the social focus. You may feel an optimistic urge to connect with your network or share your hopes with the future or collaborate on a group project. And this outward-looking energy could create tension, though, regarding more private matters, such as fears surrounding vulnerability, shared financial situations, or deep intimate bonds that require more attention. And this will be happening because of the Mercury square Jupiter transit. But then your attention at the beginning will turn inward to your subconscious mind in some way. You might feel a drive to uncover hidden truths through journaling, meditation, or therapy. This is because Mercury will be entering Scorpio. These insights can be powerful, but you may find them difficult to put into words at first, creating a gap between your inner knowing and your outer expression. And then the full moon on the 7th illuminates your area of creativity, pleasure, and joy. And so a creative project could reach a dazzling finale where you may feel a powerful, irrepressible urge to express yourself authentically and simply have fun, perhaps through a spontaneous adventure or a night out. And so any creative urges need to be properly channeled. And then moving on to mid-October, your career and private life are going to be in the focus because around the 11th, when Venus opposes Saturn, you may feel a tension between a meticulous, disciplined approach to your professional duties and the needs of your home and inner sense of security. And so, for example, staying late at work to perfect a presentation might mean sacrificing a much needed rest and replenishment that keeps you grounded. Or maybe fears surrounding the past could bleed into your fears surrounding putting yourself out there in some way. And then as your social life becomes a source of pleasure and harmony after Venus enters Libra on the 13th, be discerning that group activities or causes align with your personal joy and that they're not being a distraction from your inner work. And then major news is that Pluto is stationing direct on the 14th, which signals forward momentum in how you think and communicate. Maybe the fog in your brain lifts up, or a deep-seated fear of speaking may begin to dissolve, or maybe you finally find the courage and the precise words to articulate a complex topic that you've been contemplating for a long time. But also this new moon on the 21st offers a fresh start for your social connections and long-term goals, helping you to achieve them in a more balanced way. And then going on to late October, your energy turns inward for rest, release, and recuperation. Because as the sun enters Scorpio on the 23rd, you may feel a powerful drive to retreat from the world and deal with hidden matters or simply recharge your batteries. And so this need for solitude could lead to intense mental realizations or breakthroughs or a power struggle in your communications. So perhaps a secret could come to light or a subconscious realization could completely transform your mindset. And let's say you do anything that burns you out, especially mentally. It's a time to recharge and tackle these areas with a new approach. And then the month ends with a bang as Mercury will enter your sign on the 29th. And so you will likely feel a light with big, optimistic, and expansive ideas. Maybe a sudden grand plan for a new business venture or a long distance trip or a new philosophy could emerge. But with the Mercury opposite Uranus and Gemini transit, for example, perhaps an unexpected proposal or a disruption from a key partner or a collaborator will force you to adapt with your plans. Or let's say you have like a new plan for wanting to like start a creative hustle. Maybe, for example, you need to use an office in your house, but you have like sort of this tension with a partner that forces you to adapt your approach. And so this is a time for visionary brainstorming, especially when it comes to how you relate to others and how you enact your vision in the world in a way that doesn't bulldoze over people, but also doesn't neglect yourself as well. And so in conclusion, this month is about clearing your inner world to make space for a bigger, more authentic outer world. And by healing subconscious patterns and limiting beliefs, you free your voice to speak with newfound power and conviction. And by balancing your professional ambitions with your emotional needs, you build a foundation for a truly meaningful and sustainable legacy. Your next great adventure begins when you courageously journey inward. For my Capricorn risings, October is here to fundamentally reshape your public and private worlds. You are being called to balance your formidable career ambitions with a deep and honest look at your emotional foundations and your inner security. This is about building a new definition of success, one where professional achievement and inner peace are not mutually exclusive, but deeply intertwined. And so the month begins with your career in the spotlight. You are likely feeling diplomatic, ambitious, and you have an optimistic vision for your professional collaborations, feeling your drive, especially around October 1st as Mercury squares Jupiter. This intense focus on success, however, could create tension with the needs of key people in your life who may feel your attention is elsewhere, but also maybe your goals rely on other people, and maybe you're struggling to find like the connections or the words for your connections in order to get you to the next step. And so clever collaboration will be needed at this time. Your focus then shifts to your network and community, where after Mercury enters Scorpio on the 6th, you may feel the drive to have deeper, more strategic conversations about long-term goals, which may resolve the issues I talked about during Mercury square Jupiter. Maybe a debate within a group about funding or resources, however, could challenge your personal budget or your values. And so this is also something to look out for. Make sure you have all your ducks in a row before you go after a goal. And then the full moon on the 7th illuminates your home and foundational sector. And so a matter related to your living situation, family, or inner sense of security could come to a head. This may bring an undeniable urge to take charge and assert your needs in your private life, perhaps by setting a firm boundary or making a key decision about your home. And then mid-October, your attention shifts to your worldview and long-term beliefs. You may feel a tension between a disciplined structure approach to your beliefs and the way you communicate them day to day. A desire to speak with authority could clash with the need for more careful, nuanced wording in casual conversations. As your career becomes a source of harmony after Venus enters Libra on the 13th, you will find it easier to be charming and well received in a professional setting. Be mindful, though, not to let a successful public image mask any private turmoil that needs your attention. The pivotal moment is when Pluto stations direct in your financial sector on the 14th. A deep transformation in how you handle your personal resources and value yourself can now accelerate. After a long period of reflection, you may finally feel ready to ask for a raise, increase your rates, or overhaul your budget from a place of empowerment. And the new moon on the 21st offers a fresh start in your professional life. And then going to late October, your focus shifts to a place in your wider world. Your energy is directed towards your social networks and your long-term aspirations. As the sun enters Scorpio on the 23rd, you may feel a powerful drive to connect with like-minded people and work towards a shared goal or vision for the future. But as the sun squares to Pluto, though, Be aware that this focus on a group's agenda could create a power struggle related to your personal finances or values overshining, or I think the word is overshadowing. I don't know why I came up with that, but this could overshadow your time for personal hobbies or creative pursuits. And so there's going to be a little bit of tension in all of these areas of your life that you have to really manage cleverly. And then the month ends with your focus turning to your inner world, particularly after Neptune retrogrades in Pisces on the 22nd. And so you may be drawn to big philosophical ideas, and all of a sudden, a powerful insight during a quiet moment of reflection could completely shift your perspective on what brings you joy. Because this is happening in your third house, your mindset will completely shift and you will evaluate your ideals in a different way. This could reveal a new and unexpected path to how you communicate and express yourself in words. And so in conclusion, this month is about building a legacy that is both strong on the outside and soulful on the inside. And by courageously addressing your emotional needs and strengthening your foundations, you create a more stable launchpad for your public ambitions. And by transforming your relationship with your own value, you unlock a new level of financial and personal power. You are learning that true lasting success is an inside job, and you are building it from the ground up. For my Aquarius risings, this is a month of deep personal reinvention and soaring professional ambition. You are being called to consciously shed an old identity and step into a more authentic, powerful version of yourself. This internal transformation is not just personal, it is at the absolute key to unlocking a new level of success and impact within your career and public life. Starting early October, this month kicks off with an expansive tone. You may feel an optimistic urge to broaden your horizons either through travel, higher education, or spiritual study. This deep desire for growth and new experiences could create tension with your daily work schedule that feels confining or mundane in comparison. This is because Mercury in Libra will be making a square to Jupiter in Cancer. But then your attention shifts to your career, where after Mercury enters Scorpio on the 6th, you may feel a drive for deep strategic conversations aimed at transforming your public role. This intense professional focus might clash with your personal identity in some way, as the role you are expected to play at work may not be fully aligned with the person you are becoming, and this is because Mercury will be squaring with Pluto on this day. But then the full moon on the 7th will illuminate your communication sector. You may feel a powerful sudden urge to speak your mind directly, finally sending that important email or having a crucial conversation or even launching a writing project with conviction. And then going to mid-October, your attention turns to the deeper, often hidden aspects of life. You may feel a tension between a responsible, disciplined approach to shared finances or debts with your own spending habits and values. As you find pleasure in learning and expanding your philosophy on life as Venus enters Libra on the 13th, be careful not to let a beautiful ideal lead you to making unwise financial decisions. The most significant transit of the month will be Pluto stationing direct in your sign on the 14th. And so a deep personal transformation of your identity that has been slowly unfolding can now accelerate or resume. You are stepping into a new version of yourself. This is your cosmic green light to reinvent your life, perhaps with a new look, a personal mission, and a new intention for who you want to be in the world. And then the new moon on the 21st offers a fresh start to your beliefs and your worldview in some way. And then going on to late October, your focus shifts to your career and public life. As the sun enters Scorpio on the 23rd, you will likely feel a powerful drive to succeed, achieve, and gain recognition for your efforts. This intense ambition is potent, but as the sun squares with Pluto in your sign, it could create a powerful internal struggle between your professional demands and your authentic personal identity, forcing you to listen to your internal signals. And so maybe you have to compromise parts of yourself in order to succeed. And so it's about, finding the loophole where you can still be yourself, but you can still achieve what it is you're trying to achieve as well. And then the month ends with lively, expansive conversations within your social circles, because around the 29th, with Mercury opposing with Uranus, you may be full of big optimistic ideas for the future and how you can contribute to a group. A brilliant idea for a community project could emerge, but the time commitment required might challenge your personal creative pursuits or passions, asking you to find a new balance between the collective and the self. And so in conclusion, October is your personal revolution, and by courageously embracing the process of deep self-transformation, you are creating the foundation for a more authentic and impactful public life. Your reinvention is not just for you, it is the key for unlocking your unique contribution for the world. And so step into your new identity with confidence and purpose. Your career and the world are waiting for you. For my Pisces risings, this month is a journey into the heart of your one-on-one connections and your deepest beliefs. You are being called to release old subconscious baggage in order to build more committed collaborations and an expansive, faith-filled worldview. This is about finding the courage to heal your past so that you can step into a future with greater freedom and purpose. Starting with early October, the month begins with a focus on your deepest connections or how you relate to others and shared resources. You may feel an optimistic urge to expand your life through true intimacy or a promising joint venture where you really give to others. This desire for depth and merging, however, could create tension with your equally valid desire for more lighthearted, creative fun and personal play. And so maybe you want to do something for fun, but you also need to fight this urge to want to just give everything to other people. And so this is something to look out for. And then your focus then shifts to your belief systems, where after Mercury enters Scorpio on the 6th, you might feel a drive to get to the bottom of a big philosophical question or uncover the truth of a complex subject. This intense mental activity, while stimulating, could make it difficult to find the inner peace and quiet you often need. And then the full moon on the 7th will illuminate your financial sector. And so a matter related to your income or budget may reach a conclusion, where you could have a sudden clarifying realization about what you truly value or how you can obtain value, empowering you to take control of your resources with newfound confidence. Then going into mid-October, the balance between how you show up in your one-on-one dealings and your own sense of self will be highlighted, because around the 11th, with Venus opposing Saturn in your sign, you may feel a tension between a disciplined, reliable approach in collaboration and your own personal needs for freedom or solitude. It is important, though, not to lose yourself in your connections, because your individual growth is just as valuable. Don't give yourself too much to others this month, because as you find harmony in these dynamics, this will really improve with Venus entering Libra on the 13th. So be sure you are seeing people clearly and not through a veil of idealism. And so even if things feel harmonious, don't just accept it as, this is good enough. Really see people for who they are. But then the pivotal moment is when Pluto stations direct in your 12th house on October 14th. And so a deep process of healing and releasing old baggage or fears or self-sabotaging patterns really will start to accelerate. You may have felt a little bit of mental constipation before this, and you might finally feel a long-held anxiety begin to lift or feel ready to let go of a past trauma that has really been holding you back. And then the new moon on the 21st will offer a fresh start for intimacy and shared resources. And then finally, going into late October, your focus shifts to expanding your horizons. As the sun enters Scorpio on the 23rd, you may feel a powerful drive to understand the world on a deeper level, perhaps by engrossing yourself in a new course of study or planning a trip or exploring a new spiritual path. And this personal quest for meaning and truth may not align with your subconscious, and this might unearth a hidden fear or self-sabotaging patterns from your subconscious that calls for you to listen to your inner self. And every part of who you are and what you experience really needs to be embraced and listened to. And then the month ends with ambitious conversations related to your career, because around the 29th, with Mercury opposite Uranus, a radical new idea pitched to a superior could be a breakthrough, or maybe you have a breakthrough about how to achieve more work-life balance, but it might require you to relocate or significantly change something about your home life, demanding a careful balance between ambition and your need for security. And so ensuring that true work-life balance is achieved really is the key for this. And in conclusion, October is a month of deep spiritual and relational healing. By courageously facing your subconscious patterns, you liberate yourself to form deeper, more authentic connections with others. And then by expanding your mind and questioning your beliefs, you build a new philosophy to live that is rooted in wisdom and experience. Your journey is about finding faith in yourself so you can build a life and form connections that truly support your soul's evolution. For my Aries suns, October begins with a focus on your relationships, which may challenge your core need for independence and action. Your sense of self can feel defined by your connections to others, creating a delicate balance between your identity and your partnerships. A major moment arrives with the full moon in your sign on the 7th. This is a powerful culmination centered entirely on you. You may experience an overwhelming urge to assert your needs, your desires, and your individual identity. This energy can bring clarity about who you are, but the central challenge will be expressing this authentically without disrupting the harmony in your key relationships. As the month progresses and the sun enters Scorpio, your vitality shifts towards deeper, more intense matters. Your identity may feel more entwined with shared resources, intimacy, and the hidden truths of life. You could feel a powerful drive to merge with another person or with yourself on a deep level, which can be a transformative experience for your ego. And throughout the month, however, challenging aspects from Pluto suggest that your sense of self may be tested by group dynamics or societal shifts, forcing you to reconsider where your personal power truly lies. In all, this month is a dynamic interplay between self-discovery and your role within powerful partnerships. For my Taurus suns, October starts with your vitality channeled into your daily work, your health, and routines in some way. You could find that your identity shines when you are being of service, creating efficient systems, and taking care of your well-being. A significant reality check could arrive around October 11th when Venus in Virgo opposes with Saturn. This could manifest as a tension between your personal values and the demands of your social circles or your long-term dreams and hopes. You could feel a critique of your contributions, prompting you to refine your sense of worth. The perspective shifts when Pluto stations direct on the 14th, which could signal a major turning point within your career and your public life. After a period of review, you may feel a renewed sense of power and direction in your ambitions, which directly feeds your ego and sense of purpose. As Scorpio season begins later in the month, your focus and vitality pivots towards your one-on-one partnerships. Your identity becomes increasingly reflected back at you through your spouse or a business partner or a friend. The intense and focused energy on the 20th as well could bring passionate and defining conversations within these relationships, invigorating your sense of connection and helping you understand yourself through the eyes of another. Gemini suns, as October gets underway, your creative and expressive identity is in the spotlight. You could feel vitality is best expressed through romance, artistic pursuits, or social engagements. Your ruler, which is Mercury, encourages lighthearted and diplomatic self-expression, but a square to Jupiter on the 1st could tempt you to overpromise or overindulge in the name of fun. Your mental focus sharpens significantly when Mercury enters Scorpio on the 6th. Your thoughts and thus your sense of identity turn more investigative and focused on the details of your work and well-being. You may feel a strong urge to analyze and get to the bottom of complex issues in your daily life. A truly significant day for you may be the 14th when Pluto stations direct. This forms a powerful grand trine with Uranus in your sign, suggesting a moment of harmonious and deep-seated change. Your very identity is primed for an evolution, flowing with innovative ideas and a new understanding of your place in the world. And then the month closes with a jolt as Mercury opposes with Uranus on the 29th. And this can bring sudden, brilliant insights that feel liberating, but could also create a sense of restlessness, putting your ego in exciting and unexpected new directions. For my Cancer suns, October begins with your vitality centered on your home, family, and your deepest emotional foundations. Your identity feels most secure when you are connected to your roots in your inner world. However, with both Mercury and the Sun squaring Jupiter in your sign early in the month, you could feel an urge to express this inner self in an exaggerated or overly optimistic way. Your ego is expanding, but there is a risk of your emotions becoming larger than life. A spotlight then shifts to your public life when Aries full moon takes place on October 7th, and this brings a culmination to your career and reputation in some way, putting your ambitions and your identity on full display for the world to see or for yourself to see where you want to go. You could feel seen, but you could also feel vulnerable, and your energy finds a more comfortable and passionate outlet as Scorpio season begins because your vitality surges into the sector of creativity, romance, and joyful self-expression. Your identity shines brightest when you are pursuing your passions and enjoying life's pleasures. And a particularly powerful alignment will happen on October 20th, which connects your intense, heartfelt communication with creative expression. And so this is the perfect opportunity for your authentic voice to feel tremendous personal growth, making you feel powerfully and unapologetically yourself. For my Leo suns, your vitality and sense of self are tied up in your communications and immediate environment as October starts. With Sun, which rules Leo, being in Libra, this energizes your mind, making you feel most like yourself when you are sharing your ideas, connecting with people you are close to verbally, and engaging with your community because you are the witty and charming messenger at this time. However, a square from Sun to the Jupiter and Cancer transit on the 17th could challenge your ego through subconscious patterns or a feeling of being overwhelmed by hidden factors. You may feel your usual confidence is being tested by things you can't quite grasp. The Aries full moon on the 7th brings a desire to break free, lighting up your spirit of adventure. A journey or a course of study or a philosophical breakthrough could reach a peak, helping you to redefine your identity on a grander scale. When your ruler, the Sun, enters Scorpio on the 23rd, your focus and vitality will shift inward to your home or your emotional core in some way, and your sense of self will become more private, intense, and deeply rooted in your personal history. Throughout this period, a challenging aspect to Pluto and Aquarius, though, could suggest that your core identity may be tested by power dynamics within your closest partnerships, pushing you towards a deep transformation in how you relate to others in some way. With natal Sun in Virgo, October is a significant month for your sense of self as your ruling planet of Mercury is highly active. The month begins with a focus on your personal finances and your core values. Your identity is connected to what you possess and what you hold dear, both materially and ethically. A pivotal moment, though, will arrive on October 11th when Venus is in your sign and opposes with Saturn. This may feel like a direct test of your identity. You could feel a conflict between who you are and what you want out of others or what others expect of you, prompting a serious evaluation of your idea of relationships as well as your self-worth. And then when Mercury enters Scorpio on the 6th, your mental energy becomes incredibly sharp and perceptive. Your identity feels strongest when you are communicating with depth, precision, and focus, and you have the power to cut through superficiality and speak the truth. This is amplified on the 20th when Mercury and Mars will join forces in Scorpio. Your words become your power, and your ability to articulate deep insights can bolster your confidence immensely. And so this is a time where your identity is strongly intertwined with your sharp intellect and your courage to engage in transformative conversations. For my Libra suns, this is your season, and October begins with the Sun in your sign, placing your identity, ego, and personal vitality in the spotlight. You could feel a renewed sense of purpose and a desire to focus on your own needs and goals. However, this journey of self is not without its tests, because squares from Jupiter and Pluto will suggest that your expanding sense of self could be challenged by either external or societal career pressures or the intense demands from your creative life in some way. Like you want to find joy, but maybe it's hard to at times. And it's a call to integrate your personal growth with your external responsibilities. And then the Aries full moon on the 7th brings light on your partnerships or how you relate to others in general, bringing a culmination that forces you to balance your needs with the needs of others. It's the classic me versus we dilemma. Your natural grace, though, will get a major boost when your ruling planet of Venus enters your sign on the 13th, enhancing your charm. Your identity feels most vibrant when you are creating beauty, harmony, and connection. A powerful and fortunate alignment on the 14th will involve Venus in your sign, signaling a day where your personal identity can flow harmoniously with deep creative transformations, allowing for a beautiful evolution of yourself. For my Scorpio suns, October begins on a quiet note for you as the sun moves through a more hidden and introspective part of your chart. Your vitality may feel lower and your identity may seem less defined. This is a natural cycle of rest, reflection, and release before your own season begins. The energy will shift dramatically though on the 6th when Mercury enters your sign, followed by the main event with the sun entering Scorpio on the 23rd. And so this is your rebirth. Your vitality returns with full force and your ego is strengthened, but also your core identity is illuminated for everybody to see. And a true power moment for you will arrive on the 20th when Mercury and Mars unite in your sign. Your thoughts and actions become one powerful focus force. And this alignment gives you an immense feeling of personal agency and drive. You know who you are, what you want, and how to say it. However, as you step into this renewed sense of self, squares from Pluto could suggest that you may encounter friction from your family or even your foundational sense of security in some way, so take what resonates. And this tension is pushing you to transform your very roots, ensuring your powerful new identity is built to last. With natal sun in Sagittarius, as the month begins, your sense of identity is likely focused on friendships, community, or your future goals or aspirations. You may be feeling a little bit ambitious this month. You could feel the most like yourself when you are part of a group with a shared vision in some way. However, with your ruling planet of Jupiter, this is creating some tension from a more private and emotionally deep place, so there could be conflicting energies. And this suggests that a conflict could arise between your social identity and your need for genuine intimacy and vulnerability in some way. Your expansive ego is being asked to look at the complexities of trust and shared resources, especially from within. And then the Aries full moon on the 7th is a burst of brilliant energy for you, lighting up your sector of creativity, romance, and pure unadulterated fun. And so a passion project may come to a head, or a romantic flame could burn very bright, making your spirit feel so vibrant and alive. So take what resonates with that. But then as the sun shifts into Scorpio, your energy naturally turns more inward in preparation for your own birthday season. It's a time for spiritual reflection. A major shift will also occur on the 29th when Mercury enters your sign. I know your dreams might be a little weird when Mercury's in Scorpio. That could clear up when Mercury enters Sagittarius, and so that's something to look forward to. Because your mind and identity will feel suddenly liberated, optimistic, and ready for a new adventure. This new perspective might be immediately challenged, though, by surprising information from a partner, another person. Take what resonates, reminding you that your identity grows most when you remain flexible and open to the unexpected. For my Capricorn suns, there's something about your career or your public image that are really in focus as October gets underway, which I know is a stereotypical association with Capricorn, but this time it's for real. And so your identity is on display and your vitality is directed towards achieving your long-term goals. You feel most like yourself when you are building something lasting and earning respect for your efforts, especially this month. And so an important reality check though may arrive on the 11th when Venus opposes your ruling planet of Saturn. And so this could create tension between your grand vision and the practical details of daily communications. You could feel like your big ideas are being scrutinized or limited by facts on the ground, forcing you to refine your message in some way. And your focus may be pulled away from your ambitions on the 7th, though, temporarily, when Aries full moon brings a powerful culmination to your innermost self. This is where you kind of go within. And an emotional peak in your private world could challenge your public identity or your ambitions in some way, demanding your attention. And then as Scorpio season begins, your energy will shift towards your community, friendships, and future dreams. Your sense of self will feel strongest when you're connected to a larger network or a humanitarian goal. And with Pluto stationing direct on the 14th, this marks a significant turning point for your personal values, potentially unlocking a new source of self-worth that will support and empower your evolving public identity. For my Aquarius suns, October is a pivotal month for deep transformation of your identity with Pluto stationing direct in your sign on the 14th. And so after a long period of intense introspection and internal restructuring, you may feel a powerful sense of forward momentum. A new, more authentic version of you is ready to move forward. And this movement is enhanced by a grand trine that's happening at this time, harmoniously linking your personal transformation with your creative voice in some way. And this all will also link to your entire philosophy on your life. And so you may just feel more alive and motivated and optimistic about what you want to do. This could just be a great time for you overall. And it's a day primed for a positive redefinition of who you are. And then the sun's entry into Scorpio on the 23rd will shift your focus to your career or your ambitions in some way. And so your vitality is high in this area, but it will make a square to Pluto in your sign, which will test your evolving identity. So you could feel a tension between the person you are becoming and the professional role you are expected to play, pushing you to bring more authenticity into your ambitions. And then the end of the month could bring more excitement as Mercury opposes your modern ruler of Uranus on the 29th. And so you could get sudden creative downloads or disruptive romantic news, once again asking your sense of self to be adaptable, innovative, and open to new surprising forms of expression. And then finally, if your sun is in Pisces, this month presents a significant moment of self-evaluation for you, particularly around the Venus-Saturn opposition on the 11th. With Saturn in your sign in retrograde, this may feel very personal, and it could feel like a reality check in some way. Something about the demands or the perspectives of close partners or other people in your life could challenge your sense of identity, making you feel misunderstood at times. And so you have to remember this is an opportunity to get very clear about who you are within your most important relationships. But a major energetic shift will occur on the 22nd when your traditional ruler of Neptune will re-enter your sign. Neptune's return home can make your sense of identity feel more fluid, creative, and if you've had sort of like these blocks with your intuition, this could reconnect that intuition back to you. And you could feel a surge of compassion and empathy. But the challenge is that this can bring a sense of confusion or a blurring of personal boundaries. And the key will be to embrace the spiritual gifts of this transit while consciously maintaining your sense of self. And then during Scorpio season, your vitality and energy is boosted by a desire to expand your horizons. Your identity feels most alive when you are learning, traveling, or exploring new belief systems. And so the quest for meaning will be a valuable tool at this time in helping you navigate and understand the beautifully complex and evolving nature of your own identity. If you are an Aries moon, your emotional world operates on instinct and a need for immediate action, and October puts this temperament to the test. The first part of the month with its focus on Libra and diplomacy may feel emotionally frustrating as your internal drive for independence clashes with the demand for compromise. The pivotal moment for your emotional landscape, though, is the full moon in your sign on the 7th. This will be an intense emotional peak for you where your feelings are magnified and demand expression. You could feel impatient, restless, or have an overwhelming need to assert your emotional independence. Your sense of safety will be deeply tied to this autonomy, and as the energy shifts to Scorpio, your intense emotional nature will feel a little bit more at home, but the focus is on deeply merging with others or even with your fears in yourself, and this could still challenge your core need to go at it alone. And the month ends with a jolt of restless energy, feeling your innate desire for emotional freedom and new experiences. If you are a Taurus moon, your internal landscape craves stability and your sense of safety is rooted in what is reliable and comforting. October may challenge this foundation. The opposition between Venus and Saturn on the 11th could be particularly unsettling, potentially stirring feelings of emotional insecurity or making you feel like your needs are not being valued. This can be a lonely transit that asks you to find security from within. And when Venus enters Libra on the 13th, your internal world will seek comfort through creating harmony and beauty within your daily environment or through your routines in some way. And then in the latter half of the month, this shifts your emotional focus to your key partnerships as Scorpio season begins. Your sense of safety becomes intertwined with the emotional stability and loyalty of your one-on-one partnerships or your idea of relationships. And intense but but honest conversations around October 20th could feel a little bit unsettling at first, but they could have potential to ultimately ground your emotions and reinforce your most important bonds or how you bond with people in general. If you're a Gemini moon, your emotional state is deeply connected to your thoughts and perceptions, making this an active month for your inner world. Early October may have you feeling emotionally scattered, pulled between a desire for pleasant social interaction and a deeper, less logical need for security. Your temperament will shift, though, when Mercury enters Scorpio on the 6th. Your feelings will likely deepen, and your mind will want to analyze the emotional undercurrents around you, moving from curiosity to investigation. You find safety and understanding, and this period will drive you to seek emotional truth. A powerful and positive internal shift may occur around the 14th, when a grand trine offers harmonious flow between your emotional need for novelty and deep transformative psychological insights. The end of the month, however, could feel like emotional whiplash because the Mercury-Uranus opposition on the 29th could bring sudden news or jarring thoughts that disrupt your internal equilibrium in some way, requiring that you adapt your feelings on the fly. If you're a Cancer moon, this is a significant month for your emotional world as the internal landscape is amplified and activated. The squares from planets in Libra during the first half of the month will magnify your already sensitive temperament. You may feel that your emotions are larger than life and your need for safety and security may feel all-consuming. It will be a challenge to not let your feelings overwhelm you. The Aries full moon as well on the 7th could create a tense pull between your private need for a safe harbor and the emotional demands of your achievements or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve in life, and you may feel a welcome sense of relief though as Scorpio season begins, so don't worry about any stress that happens because the compatible water energy allows your feelings to flow more easily. And then a truly empowering moment arrives around the 20th when an alignment provides a beautiful opportunity for emotional release and understanding for you. Your feelings will be deep and intense, and you will feel the courage to express them at this time, powerfully affirming your emotional truth and reinforcing your sense of security. For my Leo moons, your emotional well-being is intrinsically linked to feeling appreciated, generous, and creatively expressed. The social grace in early October is generally pleasant for your temperament, allowing your warm heart to shine in your interactions. Your inner world is set ablaze by the Aries full moon on the 7th, though, because this is an emotional high point that activates your need for passion and adventure in some way. You could feel an undeniable urge to follow your heart, and your sense of safety comes from expressing your feelings with courage and flair. The emotional climate, though, may feel a little bit more challenging as Scorpio season begins. The energy will become more private, secretive, and intense, which can be uncomfortable for your naturally open and sunny disposition. And your sense of emotional security may be tested as you are encouraged to explore the deeper, sometimes darker corners of your heart. And so this period asks you to find a safety net, not just in the spotlight, but within your own emotional depths. If you are a Virgo moon, your inner world seeks order and you find emotional safety in being useful and understanding the mechanics of your feelings. October may disrupt your sense of emotional control. A particularly difficult period may arise around October 11th with an opposition involving Venus in your sign to Saturn and Pisces, and this can trigger your inner critic, making you feel overly analytical of your own emotions or that your feelings are being judged by others. This can deeply undermine your sense of emotional security. Your internal landscape, though, becomes more investigative when Mercury enters Scorpio on the 6th. You will find a renewed sense of emotional safety and getting to the bottom of complex psychological dynamics. The intense energy around the 20th, though, can feel powerful and healing conversations, providing a channel for you to finally articulate your deepest feelings with the precision that you crave, bringing clarity and relief to your inner world. If you are a Libra moon, your temperament requires harmony and your sense of emotional safety depends on balance and fairness. The month begins with an emphasis on your needs, but this equilibrium will be tested. The new moon in your sign on the 21st, though, offers a chance to reset your emotional baseline, but this will not be a simple process. Your internal need for peace may be challenged by overwhelming internal feelings, maybe stemming from your past in some way, or intense subconscious power dynamics that are difficult to balance. A soothing balm, though, though, arrives for your inner world when Venus enters your moon sign on October 13th. This transit helps restore your sense of internal grace and diplomacy. However, its opposition to Neptune at the beginning of the transit is a caution against emotional idealism. Your sense of safety can be compromised if you are chasing a fantasy of perfect harmony rather than accepting the real messy emotions of yourself or others. And so maintaining your own emotional center will be your primary task for the month. If you are a Scorpio moon, your deep and intense inner landscape is the main event this October. While the early part of the month may feel emotionally superficial, the atmosphere shifts dramatically in your favor as the sun enters your sign on the 23rd. So your natural temperament is reflected by the cosmos, and you find emotional safety in the depth, truth, and authenticity that this period will provide. A major surge of emotional power will arrive around October 20th when Mercury and Mars make a conjunction in your sign, and so your feelings and your thoughts will become one focused force, providing you with a deep sense of inner security and emotional control. You will feel your feelings without apology, which is all you probably want to do because you feel very intensely. However, this newfound emotional certainty may create friction in your private life in some way, and so squares to Pluto from the Scorpio transits will suggest that as you stand more firmly in your emotional truth, you may challenge old family patterns or past dynamics or disturb the foundations of your inner self, which tests your deep sense of safety, but it's absolutely necessary for establishing the security you want in your life. If you're a Sagittarius moon, your internal temperament is defined by the need for freedom and optimism. Early October may feel emotionally restrictive in some ways, with planetary squares creating a frustrating conflict between your desire for light social connection and a pull towards a deeper sense of intimacy that feels complicated and maybe a little bit heavy. Your emotional landscape will come alive, though, with the Aries full moon on the 7th. This is a joyful, spontaneous, and passionate burst of feeling for you. It affirms your need to follow your heart and find safety in creative expression. Your mood may become a little bit more introspective and somber, though, as Scorpio season begins. It's a natural period of emotional retreat for you. The month ends, though, with a bang as Mercury enters your sign on the 29th, and so your internal state feels more expansive, free, and optimistic once again. And the renewed emotional buoyancy may be immediately tested, though, by a surprising set of news or insights that challenge your sense of stability, reminding you that your sense of emotional safety and true stability lies in your ability to remain open and adaptable, and this is because of the Uranus opposition to Mercury, and so this is a month for you to really find your center. If you're a Capricorn moon, your emotional safety is built on structure, discipline, and having a sense of control. And so the focus on your public life in early October, at least emotionally, aligns with your temperament's need for achievement, but this can be disrupted by the Aries full moon on the 7th. And so an emotional culmination regarding your internal self, maybe your past, could feel a little bit messy and disruptive to the order you crave, pulling your feelings back to your private foundations. And a key test for your inner world arrives around the 11th with an opposition involving your ruling planet Saturn to Venus in Virgo, and so this may trigger feelings of emotional isolation or a sense that your own logic is suppressing your feelings, which is a classic challenge for your moon sign. And while the intensity of Scorpio season can feel emotionally demanding for some, your steady temperament can handle its depth. But then a major turning point for your emotional security will occur around the 14th when Pluto stations direct, signaling a shift in how you value yourself. And so this reinforces the foundation of self-reliance upon which your emotional well-being is being built. If you're an Aquarius moon, you find emotional safety in objectivity and intellectual understanding, which can make the raw feelings of October a unique experience for your inner world. A hugely significant event for your subconscious emotional landscape is Pluto stationing direct in your sign on the 14th. And so after a long period of deep internal review, you could feel that the fundamental emotional process is finally moving forward, and this can bring an unexpected sense of relief and clarity about feelings that you could not previously put your finger on. And then as Scorpio season begins, this new emotional state will be tested by the intense demands of what you achieve in this world in some way. And so your innate need for emotional detachment might clash with your ambitions in some way, especially if they require deep emotional engagement. In other words, this could mean like work stress, if that makes sense. And then the month ends with a flash of insight around the 29th because an opposition involving your modern ruler of Uranus to Mercury in Sagittarius could bring a sudden and exciting emotional realization to you, especially revolving around creative or romantic matters. And this may be liberating, but also momentarily destabilizing to your cool internal equilibrium. And then if you are a Pisces moon, your sensitive and empathetic temperament is the main focus of the month, and your inner world will feel like a vast ocean. A challenging alignment around the 11th could bring a sense of emotional responsibility or a feeling that your own needs are being washed away by those of somebody else, which can threaten your sense of safety. And this is caused by the Saturn-Venus opposition going on. But the most significant event for you and your emotional landscape is that your ruling planet of Neptune will re-enter your sign on the 22nd. And so this is a spiritual homecoming that will amplify your natural psychic and emotional receptivity. Your compassion and imagination will expand, but it could also become more difficult to distinguish your own feelings from the feelings of others. And this makes emotional boundaries crucial for your sense of security. And the supportive energy of Scorpio season, especially starting around the 20th, will provide a constructive channel for this immense emotional flow, helping you to turn your deep feelings into deep spiritual insight and creative expression that's authentic to you. With natal Mercury in Aries, your mind is naturally quick, impulsive, and geared towards decisive action. The diplomatic Libra energy that begins this month may feel like a mental slowdown, forcing you to consider others' viewpoints before you speak, which can test your patience. Communication may feel less direct than you prefer. But when Mercury drives into Scorpio on the 6th, your mind will appreciate the renewed intensity. Your thinking becomes more strategic, and the conjunction with your ruler of Mars on the 20th to this Mercury will make your thoughts and words incredibly sharp, focused, and powerful. And so this is a fantastic time for persuasive communication and getting to the heart of any matter. The month concludes with a jolt of mental excitement as Mercury enters Sagittarius and makes an opposition to Uranus. And so this combination of big, fast-moving ideas and sudden insights will be perfectly suited to your mental style, even if it brings disruptive news or conversations. With natal Mercury in Taurus, your thought process is typically methodical, practical, and grounded. The social grace of Libra season is generally comfortable for your communication style, but a significant mental shift occurs when Mercury enters Scorpio on the 6th, placing it in opposition to your Mercury, at least by sign. And so this transit will intensify your mental focus, likely centering on your one-on-one connections or how you talk to others in some way, and your deliberate ways of thinking could be challenged by complex emotionally charged information, and you could find yourself in more intense debates than usual. You may feel mentally at odds with others, but this can also lead to powerful breakthroughs in understanding. Because a grand trine on the 14th involving Mercury is a mental bright spot, creating harmonious links between innovative ideas about your finances or your self-worth or your values mentally and your ability to communicate them with grace and charm. With natal Mercury in Gemini, as Mercury is your ruling planet, you'll feel every shift in its journey, and October is a major month for your mind. You are mentally at home in the airy social energy of Libra season. The change on October 6th, when Mercury enters Scorpio, will be dramatic for you, and so your quick, multitasking mind is asked to become singularly focused, analytical, and deep, likely concerning the details of your work or daily routines. This can feel mentally taxing, but it also allows for incredible productivity. And so the highlight for you and your innovative mind is on the 14th, because a grand trine will connect Uranus in your sign with transformative Pluto, using harmonious communication as the bridge. And so this is a day for revolutionary insights to flow with ease. And then the month ends with a bang on the 29th, as Mercury opposes Uranus from your opposite sign. And so prepare for a mental whirlwind of sudden news, brilliant but destabilizing insights, and a buzzing mind that may feel wonderfully, if chaotically, overloaded. With natal Mercury in Cancer, your thinking is naturally intuitive and receptive in some way, and the month opens with a challenge as Mercury in Libra will square Jupiter in your sign, and so this can trigger big emotionally charged conversations where your communicative style could become defensive or exaggerated as you try to balance logic with your deepest feelings. And then you will feel a welcome shift when Mercury enters your fellow water sign of Scorpio on the 6th. Your intuitive mind is at home in this deep perceptive energy, allowing you to easily read between the lines. And then a spectacular day for you and your mental and communicative abilities will arrive around the 20th, because a powerful alignment with Mars and Mercury in Scorpio creates a supportive trine to Jupiter in your sign, technically, which allows you to articulate your deepest feelings with confidence, passion, and expansive vision. And so your emotional intelligence is your superpower at this time. With natal Mercury in Leo, your mind is creative, confident, and you communicate with flair and authority. The charming social energy of Libra season suits your style well, making for pleasant conversations at the beginning of the month. But then when Mercury moves into Scorpio on the 6th, your mental spotlight is drawn into a more private and intense space, likely focused within your inner world in some way. And so your communication may become less about performance and more about unearthing deep-seated truths. Your fixed mental patterns could be challenged by ongoing squares from Pluto to the Scorpio transits, pushing you to transform how you think about your relationship with other people or your relationship with yourself versus your individual identity and what you truly think. And then as Mercury enters Sagittarius on the 29th, your mind will feel a little bit more free once again, because your thoughts and communication will return to a more creative, fiery, and expressive state that feels a lot more natural to you. With Mercury in Virgo, Mercury is your ruler, making its transit central to your mental state. You will find a certain satisfaction in the analytical energy of the Venus-Saturn opposition on the 11th, which rewards your precise thinking, but be wary of communication becoming overly critical or even pessimistic. And then the shift into Scorpio on the 6th will align perfectly with your investigative nature. Your mind will become even sharper, more focused, and perfectly suited for research and uncovering hidden details. You will communicate with powerful directness, and this mental acuity will be supercharged on the 20th when Mercury joins with Mars in Scorpio. And so this alignment makes your analytical mind a formidable tool for problem solving and debate. And so your words will be incredibly precise and carry significant weight this month. With natal Mercury in Libra, with Mercury starting the month in your sign, your mind is in its element. Your thinking is clear, your perspective is balanced, and you are communicating with your signature grace and diplomacy. Be mindful though around the 1st though, when a square to Jupiter from Mercury in Libra could tempt your desire for harmony to lead you to overpromise or gloss over inconvenient truths in some way. A highlight for your mentally agile sign will arrive on the 14th, because with Venus in your sign as a key part of the grand trine with Uranus and Pluto at this time, your diplomatic communication style becomes the very key that unlocks a harmonious flow between deep transformation and brilliant innovation. This is a day where your words can build bridges into the future. And then the new moon in your sign on the 21st offers a chance for a mental reset, though it will be challenged by intense internal pressures or even external pressures, asking you to integrate deeper, more complex truths into your balanced worldview. With natal Mercury in Scorpio, this month provides a major boost to your mental prowess. The socially focused Libra energy of early October may feel a bit superficial for your deep thinking mind, but everything clicks into place on the 6th when Mercury enters your sign, and so your mind is now operating at peak performance. It is sharp, perceptive, strategic, and unafraid to explore uncomfortable truths. Communication becomes a tool of power and focus. The square to Pluto at this time adds another layer of intensity though, possibly making your thoughts obsessive as you seek to uncover hidden information. But the absolute peak of your mental power will arrive around October 20th when Mercury and Mars join forces in your sign. And so your thoughts are like a laser beam, and your words have the power to create real impact at this time. And so this is a time where your insights will also be truly transformative. With natal Mercury in Sagittarius, your mind is philosophical in some way, it's adventurous, but at the very least, it likes to see the big picture. The focus on diplomatic details of early October may feel mentally constraining for you in some way. You want to talk about universal truths, but not negotiate pleasantries. But when Mercury moves into Scorpio, it provides a fascinating opportunity for your mind to dive deeply into a single topic, perhaps related to spirituality or psychological matters in some way. But the real liberation for your mind happens around the 29th when Mercury enters your sign. Your thinking is set free, becoming expansive, optimistic, and hungry for newer knowledge. However, this is immediately met by an opposition to Uranus, which promises to deliver shocking information or disruptive conversations or sudden insights that could challenge your whole worldview. And this will force your philosophical mind to expand in truly unexpected ways. With natal Mercury in Capricorn, your mind is structured, practical, and you communicate with purpose and authority. The month begins with Libra energy, highlighting your professional communications or how you put your voice out to the world in some way, and your thoughts are likely on strategies for success and using diplomacy to achieve your goals. But when Mercury enters Scorpio on the 6th, your mental focus will shift to your long-term aspirations in terms of like your dreams in some way, or even how you socialize. And so your thinking will become more strategic as you analyze the hidden power dynamics within groups or even society. And so a lot of thoughts about society and your role with it could come up at this time. And then the Mercury-Mars conjunction on the 20th is an excellent transit for you because it feels focused strategic planning and empowers communication with your allies or people you kind of relate to move towards a shared objective, whatever that may be. And so your practical mind is perfectly equipped to use this intense focus energy to build something tangible and lasting. With natal Mercury in Aquarius, your mind is innovative, forward-thinking, and designed to understand complex systems. A major event for you and your deepest thought patterns will occur on the 14th when Pluto stations direct in your sign. And so a long period of deep mental review could come to an end, allowing you to finally move forward with transformative ideas about who you really are. The day is enhanced by a grand trine with Venus and Uranus that connects your revolutionary thoughts with brilliant communicative insights and harmonious relational perspectives. And so you'll have ideas, you'll be able to communicate them, and you'll be able to think of ways to apply these ideas in the real world potentially. In other words, it's a day primed for genius. And as planets in Scorpio later square Pluto in your sign, your new ways of thinking could be tested by the demands of the intense goals that you have in life. And so the challenge will be to communicate your innovative ideas in a way that empowers rather than creates power struggles with authority figures or figures that are outside of your circle. And then with natal Mercury in Pisces, your mind is intuitive, imaginative, and processes information in a non-linear way. And so the logical, structured communication of early October can feel challenging, forcing your fluid thoughts into rigid boxes. But a major shift for your mental landscape occurs on the 22nd when your ruler of Neptune re-enters your sign. And so this will amplify your natural intuition, making your thinking more creative and spiritually attuned, but it can also create mental fog or a tendency towards fantasy, so look out for that because clarity will be key. And you will likely feel a sense of mental relief when Mercury enters fellow water sign of Scorpio on the 6th, because this allows you to think and communicate from a more intuitive and perceptive place. And then the trine on October 20th between Venus, Uranus, and Pluto is going to be a highlight, creating a beautiful flow between your psychic insights and your ability to communicate them with power and depth. With natal Venus in Aries, your direct and passionate approach to love or passion is asked to learn the art of compromise. Until October 13th, Venus in Virgo can make relationships or passions feel a little bit critical or focused on the small details that dampen your enthusiasm. But a key moment is when Venus enters your opposite sign of Libra on the 13th, and then suddenly your values and feelings of love and passion are entirely focused on either partnership, harmony, or or seeing things from a very aesthetic and balanced point of view. But at the same time, Venus opposes Neptune in your sign, which can create a significant romantic or creative fog. You could be prone to idealizing partners or even other people that you really care for in this world, projecting your desires onto them, making it difficult to see the relationship or the bond you have with this person clearly. And so your passion is high this month, especially with like your partnerships, but also related to creativity as well. But be sure you are connecting to real people, not just fantasies. With natal Venus in Taurus, as Venus is your ruling planet, its movement has deep impact on your experiences of love and pleasure. And so the first half of the month with Venus in fellow Earth sign of Virgo, this is generally comfortable for you because your values are practical and you may find joy and express love through creative pursuits or thoughtful romantic gestures. And when Venus moves into Libra on the 13th, your eye then turns to your daily environment and your well-being. You will value beauty and peace within your work, and you could find pleasure in refining your routines in some way to be more balanced. But then the powerful grand trine on the 14th will be a highlight for you. This is between Mercury, Pluto, and Uranus, creating a harmonious flow between the positive relationships you have when you collaborate with people, innovative ideas on how to improve your financial situation, but also maybe deep transformative values regarding your career. So look out for that. With natal Venus in Gemini, your lighthearted and curious approach to love and pleasure in some way finds its voice in the second half of the month because a potential reality check within your goals or your passions around the 11th could force you to get serious about your professional values in some way. But the real magic begins when Venus enters fellow air sign of Libra on the 13th, lighting up your world of romance, creativity, and how you experience pleasure. Your feelings of love could become more playful, social, and even expressive, and your passion for your hobbies and creative projects will be reignited at this time. The grand trine on October 14th involving Venus is also spectacular for you because this alignment creates a powerful and easy connection between your creative passions, your innovative sense of self, and a deep transformation in your worldview in some way. And so it's a perfect day for a breakthrough in love or art, whatever resonates with you. With natal Venus in Cancer, your nurturing or security-focused heart will find comfort in the second half of the month. The Venus-Saturn opposition on the 11th could bring a challenging moment where your loving ideals clash with a harsh reality, perhaps in a conversation or through a piece of news, so look out for that. And then a beautiful shift occurs when Venus enters Libra on the 13th, turning your focus to your home or your inner world in some way, and so your values become centered on creating a peaceful, aesthetically pleasing, and harmonious sanctuary for you. You will express and receive love most easily within your private space this month. However, be mindful of the opposition to Neptune, which could blur the boundaries between your desire for a peaceful inner world or even home life and the demands of your ambitions, creating some confusion about where to direct your passions. And so really be in a place of balance before you put your passions out there this month. With natal Venus in Leo, your grand and generous heart may feel a bit constrained by the reserved energy of early October, and a stark reality check around shared values or intimacy or like finances, especially when it comes to your values, could arrive around the 11th, forcing a serious and perhaps difficult conversation about what is truly important within your deepest bonds. But then everything will become lighter and brighter when Venus enters Libra on the 13th because your passions are ignited through how you communicate. You will communicate with so much passion, and your feelings of love are expressed through charming words or witty banter and intellectual connection. And then the grand trine involving Venus on the 14th is going to be great for your social life. And so this energy connects your gifts for harmonious communication with breakthroughs in your community and the deep transformation in your partnerships, meaning that your words can have a deeply positive effect on others at this time. This is a great time to use your voice if you want to sound pleasant for something. With natal Venus in Virgo, with Venus in your sign until the 13th, your personal values, style of love, and aesthetic sensibilities will be in the spotlight, and so you are expressing affection through thoughtful acts of service and a desire to be helpful. A major test, though, will arrive on the 11th when Venus in your sign opposes with Saturn in Pisces. This is a very personal reality check within your relationships. You could feel a deep tension between your desire to perfect things for somebody else and their own limitations or emotional distance. Like maybe you try to help somebody, but they won't accept it. And this can bring feelings of being underappreciated or that your efforts are falling short. But a sense of relief may come after Venus leaves your sign, allowing you to focus the shift from dynamics of like yourself and how you give love to the world to more grounding appreciation for your own resources and worth. And this doesn't even have to apply for a partner. Maybe you feel like your efforts with your passions in general are being overlooked, but everything will get better once you can really focus on your values at the end of the month. With natal Venus in Libra, this is a pivotal month for you as your ruling planet of Venus returns home on the 13th. After a quieter, more introspective period, this transit signals a rebirth for your romantic life, your aesthetic eye, or your ability to connect with others in your passions. You could feel more like yourself, expressing love and passion with natural grace and valuing partnership or balance above all else. And this is a new beginning, and this is immediately colored by an opposition to Neptune, though, which can cast a beautiful but still confusing spell over your relationships or passions. You could be viewing something or someone through rose-colored glasses, so look out for that. But the highlight of the month is a powerful grand trine on the 14th involving this Venus, and this is an incredibly fortunate alignment which will create a harmonious flow between your personal charm or your passions, exciting new ideas about your passions that may come to you, and a deep positive transformation within how you express your creativity. And so if you have an idea that involves your passions in some way, this is a good month to kind of pursue that and really start bringing your vision to life. With natal Venus in Scorpio, your passionate and intense approach to love is in a more reflective phase for much of October. A reality check may arrive around the 11th, potentially creating a block to your creative self-expression or making romance feel like a duty more than actually a pleasure. And so your passions may feel a little bit temporarily restricted. But when Venus enters Libra on the 13th, your feelings of love and your values enter a more hidden and private cycle. You could feel love more deeply, but choose not to express it openly, or you could find yourself drawn to a secret affair, not with anybody else. Don't take it like that, but it could just be like this new passion that you haven't really brought to light yet. And more likely, you will simply value your privacy in the matters of the heart at this time, using this time to contemplate what you truly want and need from a relationship or like whenever you're expressing your passions away from the influence of the outside world. With natal Venus in Sagittarius, your freedom-loving values are focused on your social life this month. You could experience a reality check around the 11th where the practical demands of your ambitions will feel emotionally at odds with the duties of your inner needs, putting a strain on your passions. But a wonderful and welcome shift occurs when Venus enters Libra on the 13th, energizing your world of friendships, groups, or community and how you exercise passion towards those areas of life. And so your values shift towards connection and shared ideals at this time, and this is a time where love can be easily blossoming from friendships, or they can blossom from places where you find great joy and pleasure within your social network. If you're looking to date, I would look within your social circle at this time. But then the grand trine on the 14th involving Venus is an excellent time for connecting with like-minded people, creating an easy flow between innovative work projects or your projects with your ambitions, personal transformations within your thinking, and then valuable social connections. With natal Venus in Capricorn, your serious and committed approach to love or passion is focused within the public space this month, and so the practical energy of early October aligns well with your values, and a serious or sobering conversation could occur around the 11th when a practical reality challenges some of the long-held beliefs that you hold. And when Venus enters Libra on the 13th, something about your ambitions will receive a boost of charm and grace. You will value diplomacy within your ambitions or even your professional life, and your aesthetic sense will be on full display. This can be a time when a romance with a person of high standing begins, or maybe you really start to put your passion towards something that could be big one day, or something that your mind views as like a really big goal of yours. And then the grand trine on the 14th between Venus and Uranus and Pluto is a powerful asset for your ambitions, linking your grace with how you put yourself out there with creative genius and a deep transformation of your personal, financial, or even your values in general. And so there's a lot to look forward to this month. With Venus in Aquarius, your unconventional or freedom-loving approach to love or passions is focused on expanding your horizons. You could face like a financial reality check when it comes to your passions and like the resources you use towards those passions around the 11th, which is a moment where your values regarding shared resources or resources in general are tested against what's practically possible. And then a beautiful shift occurs when Venus enters the fellow air sign of Libra on the 13th. And so your passions and values are now geared towards learning about something new or even expanding your mind. Maybe a romance with someone from a different culture or a background is possible. Take what resonates, or you could find deep pleasure in shared adventures with a current partner, or you may just like to explore by yourself. Like, this doesn't have to be about relationships. And then a grand trine on the 14th involving Venus is a deeply personal one for you, creating a harmonious flow between your old deep transformations, bursts of creative genius, and relationships that open your mind to entirely new possibilities. With natal Venus in Pisces, your romantic and compassionate heart will face significant tests this month. The opposition between Venus and Saturn on the 11th will feel deeply personal, as Saturn is in your sign, and this could feel like a direct limitation on your feelings of love, or it could feel like you really need to structure how you put your passions out there. Or another example, maybe a partner's practical needs could feel a little bit critical or cold, clashing with your deep desire for unconditional acceptance and creating a sense of emotional responsibility. But then when Venus enters Libra on the 13th, your focus will shift to the deeper matters of the heart, such as intimacy or intimately sharing your passions, as well as share soul bonds if that matters to you. And you will value transformative connections and emotional honesty above all else at this time. However, because this opposes with Neptune and Pisces, this could create a little bit of confusion. And so you're asked to really keep your boundaries up and to discern with your heart, because if you discern with your heart and you don't really take on the feelings of other people and whatever it is that you pursue, I promise this month will go a lot more smoothly and you can find your joy once again. For my natal Mars in Aries, as Mars is your ruling planet, its journey through Scorpio this month fundamentally alters your energetic state. Your normal, fast, impulsive drive is transformed into something more strategic, patient, and intensely focused. This may feel like you are operating in a low gear, but the power you can wield is immense. Your energy is directed towards deep intimacy, shared finances, and confronting psychological truths at this time. You are motivated not by the thrill of the chase, but a desire for deep connection and control. The conjunction on October 20th from Mercury and Mars provides some mental clarity to execute a complex long-term strategy, channeling your powerful drive with masterful precision. This month teaches you the immense power that comes from channeling your fiery drive with patience and strategic depth. With natal Mars in Taurus, your steady, deliberate energy is met with a direct opposition all month as Mars transits Scorpio. This can energize your life through dynamic tension. Your drive will be focused entirely on your one-on-one relationships, whether with a partner, competitor, or a collaborator. You will be motivated to act by the people closest to you. This can stir up power struggles and conflict, though, but it can also ignite incredible passion and mutual ambition. Your energy levels, though, may fluctuate depending on the state of these key relationships. A powerful and decisive conversation can either clear up the air or seal the deal, and this will happen around October 20th when Mercury conjoins with Mars in Scorpio, and this is when your actions and words are perfectly aligned. And so your greatest action this month will be sparked by your key relationships, turning potential conflict into passionate collaboration. With natal Mars in Gemini, your quick, mentally driven energy finds a new and powerful channel this month. Mars in Scorpio directs your drive towards your work, your health, and your daily routines in some way, or at least your energy will be directed that way with a laser-like focus. Your usual tendency to multitask is replaced by motivation to get to the very bottom of any problem, master a complex process, or commit to a wellness regimen with incredible discipline. Your energy levels are high for any kind of detailed, analytical, or investigative work. The conjunction on October 20th, which involves your ruling planet of Mercury, marks a day of peak physical and mental coordination, making you incredibly effective and productive in all that you do. And by directing your quick thinking energy into the details of your daily work, you can achieve a level of focus and productivity that is truly remarkable. With natal Mars in Cancer, your energy, which is typically driven by your emotions and a need for security, is in a beautiful, harmonious flow with Mars in Scorpio. This is a powerful, creative, and romantic expressive month for you. Your drive is channeled directly into your passions, whether they be artistic projects, maybe a romance, or simply the pursuit of pleasure. You are motivated by what your heart truly desires, and you have the sustained energy and strategic mindset to act on it. A spectacular alignment on the 20th gives you the courage and passion to take a significant step forward in your creative or romantic life, ensuring your actions are both emotionally authentic and poised for success. And so this is a month where your actions are beautifully aligned with your heart's passions, allowing you to create and connect with authentic, powerful emotion. With natal Mars in Leo, your proud, expressive energy, which loves to be in the spotlight, is directed into a more private arena this month. Because Mars in Scorpio focuses your drive on your innermost self, your deepest emotional foundations, and potentially into your home and private life. And you may be powerfully motivated to take on a home renovation project at this time, or to resolve a long-standing family power dynamic, or simply pour your considerable energy into strengthening your inner world in some way. Your energy levels may feel more internally focused rather than externally expressed. A decisive family conversation, for example, or a powerful breakthrough in understanding a core emotional pattern is possible around the 20th with Mercury conjoining with Mars, as your actions are driven by a deep need for security and control of your personal space. Your strength this month lies in applying your powerful drive to your private foundations, building a deeper sense of security from the inside out. With natal Mars in Virgo, your naturally precise and efficient energy is highly compatible with the strategic focus of Mars in Scorpio. And this month, your drive is centered on communication or learning about something and putting your ideas into action. You are motivated to speak with power and depth, to research a topic with obsessive focus, and to take decisive action based on facts. Your mind and your will are working as one. The conjunction of Mars and Mercury on the 20th, though, is especially potent for you because on this day, your words will carry incredible force and precision. It's a time where you can win any argument or solve any puzzle or articulate a complex idea with masterful skill and authority. Your words become the most effective tools for action in October, allowing you to communicate your ideas with undeniable precision and force. With natal Mars in Libra, your drive, which is typically motivated by your need for balance or, harmony in some way, is channeled this month into the practical realms of your resources, what you own and what you're worth, and your core values. You are powerfully motivated to take control of your income or what you own, or to act decisively on financial matters and to assert what is truly important to you. This is a time to be strategic and proactive about building your security, leaving indecision behind. And then your energy levels are high for any work that can provide tangible results. And so work on anything that requires that this month. And then a conjunction on the 20th with Mercury and Mars in Scorpio will mark an excellent day for making a key financial decision or negotiating a raise or having a powerful conversation that affirms your self-worth. And so this month motivates you to move beyond indecision and take powerful strategic action to build the security that you truly value. With natal Mars in Scorpio, this is your power month. With your ruling planet of Mars transiting through your sign, your personal energy, drive, and motivation are at their absolute peak. You feel focused, potent, and completely in your element. Your actions are strategic, your will is formidable, and your stamina feels limitless. You are driven by your own personal ambitions, and you have the strategic mindset to pursue them relentlessly. And then the conjunction with Mercury and Mars in your sign on the 20th is the pinnacle for you of this transit, because on this day, your thoughts and your actions are one seamless force. You can execute your plans with flawless precision and communicate your intentions with unshakable authority. With your drive, energy, and strategic mindset all at their peak, this is your time to act decisively in pursuit of your personal ambitions. With natal Mars in Sagittarius, your expansive and freedom-seeking energy is drawn to a more hidden and introspective area of your life this month. This may feel like your drive is being temporarily muted or that your energy levels are lower than usual. In reality, your energy is simply being redirected inward. You are motivated to work on subconscious patterns, to act on your intuition, and to strategically handle matters behind the scenes. This is a period of preparing, planning, and clearing the decks before you launch forward. A powerful intuitive insight or a decisive action taken in private that sets the stage for major future success could occur around October 20th, and so look out for that date, because this month, your most effective actions are taken behind the scenes, allowing you to strategically prepare for your next big move. And so around the 20th, make sure that whatever ideas come to your head, you write it down so you know action to take. With natal Mars in Capricorn, you have a natural affinity for disciplined, effective action, and this month's energy supports you beautifully. With Mars transiting in Scorpio, your formidable drive is directed towards your community or your long-term goals or your dreams or even like large groups and friendships. And so you are motivated to take a leadership role within a group or to act strategically to advance your future ambitions or to align yourself with powerful people who share your vision. Take what resonates with that. And then your energy is best spent on collaborative, goal-oriented projects where your strategic input can shine. And so a key alignment with Mercury and Mars conjoining on the 20th will make it a fantastic few days around that window for decisive meetings with your team or to take a powerful step that brings a long-held dream much closer to reality. And so really plan something for that day. Your strategic drive is best applied towards your long-term ambitions for this month, especially when collaborating with a powerful and focused team. With natal Mars in Aquarius, your innovative and intellectually driven energy is focused this month on your career or your goals or your public life in some way. You are highly motivated to make your mark or to pursue your ambitions with strategic precision and to assert your authority in your professional field. Your drive to achieve and gain recognition is powerful, and your energy levels for your career pursuits will be high and sustained. This is a key time to act decisively to advance your position. A conjunction on October 20th between Mercury and Mars in Scorpio marks the key day for either a powerful presentation, a strategic career move, or a decisive conversation with a superior that can alter the trajectory of your professional life. And so your ambition is the central focus of your drive this October, empowering you to make strategic and decisive moves that elevate your public standing in some way. Your typically fluid and intuitive energy finds a powerful and supportive channel this month. The focused drive of Mars in Scorpio is in a harmonious flow with your sign, energizing your desire to expand your worldview in some way. You are motivated by your deepest beliefs and have the drive to act on them at this time. This could manifest as a focused effort to study a new subject, the strategic planning of a long-distance journey, or the courage to fight for a cause that you believe in. Your physical energy as well is aligned with your quest for meaning. And then the alignment between Mercury and Mars in Scorpio on the 20th will empower you to act decisively on your convictions, making it a powerful time to publish your ideas or to launch a plan or to persuasively share your philosophy with the world. And so this October provides a focused drive that you need to take tangible action on your deepest beliefs, turning faith into a powerful motivating force for you. For my Jupiter in Aries, this month you may feel an urge to push forward, but you'll find true expansion by balancing your independent drive with a deeper sense of security. Around the beginning of the month, your optimistic vision for a new goal may be challenged, urging you to clarify your core belief that can be acted on in the most direct, uncomplicated way. And a bit after this energy, a culmination point with the full moon in Aries will bring your personal needs into sharp focus, offering a powerful opportunity to take a small, courageous action direction that expands your sense of what is possible. And then towards the end of the month, a new moon in Libra will bring energy of balance, and you may be presented with a disruptive opportunity for growth as well. And so the key is to pause and discern the difference between a wise intellectual leap and a reckless, impatient jump. With natal Jupiter in Taurus, you are learning that your inner world of feelings and values can support and enrich your practical goals, because around the beginning of the month, you could find an opportunity for growth that requires you to step outside of your material comfort zone. You can find meaning by focusing on improving the quality of one area of life, which will expand your sense of abundance. And the Venus-Saturn opposition in the middle of the month may present a reality check to you, urging you to take a deep and deliberate step towards building lasting abundance. This is a time to invest in your growth with conscious, tangible actions. And then by the end of the month, as Neptune retrogrades back into Pisces, you're encouraged to find the most deep growth in slow, methodical processes, trusting that a consistent effort will lead to lasting results in your path to expansion. With natal Jupiter in Gemini, this month you'll find expansion by aligning your mind with your intuitive wisdom. At the beginning of the month, as Mercury squares with Jupiter, your intellectual pursuits may feel focused on a single, intensely interesting topic. This is a great time to explore a new idea that could optimistically expand your entire world. In the middle of the month, though, a powerful Mercury, Mars, and Jupiter trine can bring a powerful expansive insight, revealing a deep connection between two seemingly unrelated ideas. And then by the end of the month, with Mercury entering Sagittarius, you can make the most of new information by asking more curious, open-ended questions within conversations, which can open up a surprising opportunity for growth. With natal Jupiter in Cancer, your growth this month is about nurturing your inner self and finding faith through a sense of security. At the beginning of the month, with Mercury squaring Jupiter, your emotions may be challenged by the need for diplomacy and thoughtful communication. This is the time to cultivate your own sense of security, making your personal space feel more expansive, giving you the faith to grow in the outside world. And then around the middle of the month, with Mercury and Mars in Scorpio, trining with Jupiter in Cancer, this provides a powerful opportunity for decisive action. The meaning you're going to find from this comes from a deeply felt and powerful act of generosity, as you learn how your capacity to nurture and protect can bring about a belief in a better world. And then by the end of the month, you can expand on an old family belief or a pattern in a way that feels truly unique to you. It's a big month of growth. With natal Jupiter in Leo this month, your expansion is an internal journey focused on faith, compassion, and the emotional patterns that truly sustain you. In the beginning of the month, your desire for generous self-expression may be challenged by the needs of others. This is a chance to actively engage in a personal talent, asking how the joyful self-expression of your core self creates new opportunities for growth. And then in the middle of the month, a Pluto direct in Aquarius transit with a trine to Venus and Uranus can provide a push to take a creative risk. Your expansion comes from sharing a piece of your work and stepping into a new level of unapologetic confidence. And then by the end of the month, with the Sun in Scorpio, you could find your optimism tested. And this is a time to find the source of your own inner light, expanding when the external validation is absent. With natal Jupiter and Virgo this month, you are learning to apply your skills to your hopes for the future within your groups, community, and networks. Your expansion comes from your connections to friends, groups, and the small overlooked details of your daily life. At the beginning, but also kind of towards the middle of the month, as the Venus-Saturn opposition takes place, you can find your greatest sense of expansion by improving a small, inefficient system within your daily life. And then towards the middle of the month, with the Mercury and Mars conjunction and trining Jupiter, you can find a powerful sense of meaning when you use your analytical skills to make a tangible, positive impact. But then by the end of the month, with the Neptune retrograding in Pisces, you will find that the greatest opportunity for growth exists in a small overlooked detail, and so this is really a time to refine your vision. With natal Jupiter in Libra this month, opportunities for expansion are centered within your career and public life. You are learning to step into a larger role of authority and visibility. At the beginning of the month with the Mercury-Jupiter square, you may find a powerful opportunity for growth that requires you to step into a new level of balance. You can do this by bringing more beauty and balance into your immediate environment, which expands your inner sense of optimism. Around the middle of the month with Pluto going direct in Aquarius and trining with Venus and Uranus, this can lead to a new partnership or collaboration, showing you that powerful new possibilities are created when you believe in the power of we over me. And then by the end of the month, there's going to be a new moon in Libra, which could bring a sense of balance in your relationship with yourself, which could push you to find more balance in relationships. And you can restore fairness by taking a wise, fair-minded action in whatever it is that you're pursuing. With natal Jupiter in Scorpio, your natural desire to learn by going deep is in perfect harmony with the expansive energy at play. At the beginning of the month with Mercury entering Scorpio and then squaring Pluto, you may feel an urge to research a topic that feels mysterious or taboo, and you can find a sense of purpose when you have the courage to look at the deep hidden truths in the world. But then going to the middle of the month, a Mercury-Mars conjunction and then trining Jupiter will offer an opportunity for a powerful conversation that could go way beneath the surface, creating an opportunity for deep growth and trust. And then by the end of the month, as Sun enters Scorpio and squares with Pluto, your optimism may be challenged by a complex power dynamic in your life. And so your resiliency comes from trusting the one core belief you hold that is so strong almost that you can't be shaken by external intensity. And so whenever you have a hard time this month, lean into that. With natal Jupiter in Sagittarius, this month your growth comes from not a broad adventure, but from the deep transformative experiences of intimacy and trust. Because at the beginning of the month, with a Mercury-Jupiter square, your search for meaning may be directed inward towards a psychological or emotional territory. You can expand your world by booking a small adventure that will test a core belief that you hold. And then in the middle of the month, as Mars trines with Jupiter, you have a powerful opportunity for action. You can live in alignment with your personal philosophy by taking one concrete action that is a pure and unapologetic expression of that truth. And then by the end of the month, with Mercury entering Sagittarius and then opposing Uranus, maybe a surprising event could disrupt your plans in some way. And so this is the time to ask yourself how this unexpected event can actually be a shortcut to an even bigger, more expansive outcome. With natal Jupiter in Capricorn, your natural path of expansion is through building structures, but now you are learning that your greatest growth comes through partnership. In the beginning of the month, your desire to grow through tangible achievements may be complicated by the emotional needs of other people in your life, whether it be a coworker or a partner. And so this is a great time to schedule protected time to work on a long-term goal, which can expand your belief in what you are capable of building while also giving you room to, let other people in your life. And then in the middle of the month, Mercury and Mars conjoining and then trining with Jupiter will offer an opportunity to take a small but significant step that demonstrates a long-term commitment to your own growth. And then by the end of the month, as Sun enters Scorpio, you could find that a challenge to the very foundation of your ambitions could be a catalyst for big growth in your life. And so your path forward is applying your most disciplined efforts to your most optimistic vision. For Jupiter in Aquarius, this month you are learning to find expansion in the details of your daily life, routines, and health. At the beginning of the month with a Mercury-Jupiter square, you could feel an urge to share an innovative idea that you're optimistic about with a group. I have Jupiter in Aquarius, maybe I'm sharing that idea with you. This could expand your sense of what is possible as you contribute your unique perspective to the collective. And then in the middle of the month with Mercury and Mars conjoining and then trining with Jupiter in Cancer, this offers an opportunity to take a concrete action to support a community or a cause that you believe in. The personal growth you find here is deeply connected to the progress of the wider human network. And then by the end of the month, with Mercury entering Sagittarius and opposing Uranus, maybe a brilliant futuristic idea could be challenged by a surprising external viewpoint. And so this is a chance to make your expansive idea even more robust and complete. With natal Jupiter in Pisces, this is a month of beautiful, harmonious growth for you. Your expansion comes by embracing your unique and innate creativity, following your romantic heart as well, and allowing for joyful self-expression. Because at the beginning of the month, your path to growth through compassion and spiritual connection could be challenged by a financial or even ethical dilemma. You can expand your sense of purpose by performing a small anonymous act of kindness, which will connect you to the world without a need for a personal recognition. And then in the middle of the month, with Mercury, Mars conjoining in Scorpio and trining with Jupiter, this offers an opportunity to take a small concrete action based on a strong intuitive hit. So listen to your gut this month, because this is when you can trust your non-logical wisdom. Absolutely. And then by the end of the month, with Neptune retrograding back into Pisces, you can find a deeper sense of growth by allowing a rigid belief to dissolve, making way for a more compassionate and expansive understanding. If your natal Saturn's in Aries, your natural structuring principle is based on decisive action, but this month, the pressures you feel are more internal and subtle. Limitations may arise from subconscious patterns or unresolved issues from the past that are now holding you back. Around the 11th, maybe a practical issue regarding your ambitions could trigger a hidden fear or highlight a self-sabotaging habit that needs to be addressed. Your discipline is best channeled not through outward force, but through inward reflection in some way. And this is the time to build new and healthier spiritual or psychological routines and to courageously confront the old unseen structures that limit your progress. And your greatest task this month is to apply your discipline to the unseen structuring to your inner world to dissolve old limitations for good. With natal Saturn and Taurus, your structures are built on patience and tangible security, and this month's energy supports that process constructively. The pressures you feel are likely to come from your friends or your community or outward forces in some way asking you to dissolve old ways of operating in order to build something better. Attention may arise around the 11th between a personal creative passion and the responsibilities you feel towards your long-term goals or social circle or your place in society in some way. And discipline is best channeled by finding practical ways for your creative talents to serve your larger vision, proving that your passions can be part of a solid plan. And this month, your discipline helps you build bridges between your personal passions and your future dreams, creating tangible structures for your ideals. If your natal Saturn's in Gemini, your structures are typically mental and communicative, but this month, the pressure is squarely on your ambitions in some way. And so you may feel that your ambitions are being tested, limited, or that you are carrying a heavy weight of responsibility in some way. And this feeling may peak around the 11th when a tension between the demands at home or within your private world and the responsibilities of your professional life or your ambitious life in some way become impossible to ignore. And your discipline is best channeled by creating firm and clear boundaries between your private and public worlds. You are learning to build a more intuitive and emotionally sustainable approach to your long-term ambitions, and the pressure on your ambitions are teaching you to build a career or to build ambitions that are not just successful, but also emotionally and spiritually sustainable. If your natal Saturn's in Cancer, your structures are built to create emotional security, and this month offers a harmonious opportunity to restructure your beliefs in some way. The pressures you feel are gentle, encouraging you to dissolve limiting philosophies and build a more expansive and compassionate worldview. Attention may arise around the 11th between your need for precise, fact-based communication and your evolving faith-based perspective, and so your discipline is best channeled by committing to a course of study or committing to pursuing higher learning in some way that gives structure to your new beliefs, or by practicing how to articulate your intuitive truths in a clear and grounded way. And you can successfully build a new life philosophy this month by applying gentle discipline to your studies and learning to communicate your deepest truths. If your natal Saturn's in Leo, your structures are normally built around creative authority, but this month's pressures are taking you into deeper, more vulnerable territories. You may feel limitations related to shared resources, intimacy, or the debts that you give to others in some way, forcing you to confront issues of trust and control. This could come to a head around the 11th when a reality check that highlights a tension between your personal finances or your self-worth in some way and your shared obligations come to a head. And discipline
discipline is best channeled this month by creating crystal clear boundaries and agreements around how you share your resources. And so it's a time to confront any fears around vulnerability with sober realism and building a new foundation of trust. And by applying discipline to the complex areas of how you share your resources and intimacy, you can build a foundation of unshakable trust and personal empowerment. If your natal Saturn is in Virgo, your structures are built on order and practical analysis, but this month you are facing a major reality check, especially in your one-on-one connections in some way or how you relate to others. And the pressure you feel is likely coming directly from somebody else, challenging the foundations of how you relate to others. This will be the most acute around the 11th when a tense opposition highlights the conflict between your personal needs for perfection and a partner's or somebody else's limitations or boundaries. Discipline is best channeled by releasing the need to control or fix others, and your greatest task is to build healthier, more compassionate relationship structures that are based on realistic expectations and mutual respect. The intense pressures on your relationships are a call to release the need for perfection and build new partnerships or relationships with others based on compassion and realistic boundaries. With natal Saturn in Libra, your structures are founded on balance and partnership, but this month, the pressure is on your work, your health, and daily routines in some way. You could feel a limiting or constricting pressure to bring order to the chaos of your day-to-day life. A tension may arise around the 11th between a hidden self-critical voice in your head and the tangible demands of your job or your health regimen in some way. And so the most effective way to channel your discipline is by creating practical and sustainable routines that support your well-being. This is a time to organize your workspace, commit to a health plan, and set compassionate but firm boundaries around your time and energy. And your challenge this month is to bring structure to your daily life, learning that disciplined routines are the foundation of both health and service. With natal Saturn in Scorpio, your structures are built on power and control, and this month offers a constructive opportunity to apply that focus to your creative life in some way. The pressure you feel is to bring discipline to your self-expression or a personal hobby in some way, turning a casual interest into a serious craft. You could feel a tension around the 11th, though, between the demands of your social life and the responsibility you feel towards your personal creative expression. And so your discipline is best channeled by committing your time and energy to this passion, even if it requires making some sacrifices. And this is a powerful month to structure your creativity, as your discipline can transform a personal passion into a masterful and meaningful craft. With natal Saturn in Sagittarius, your structures are typically built on freedom and expansive beliefs, but this month you are facing challenging pressures on your internal world in some way or your emotional foundations. You could feel restricted by family duties, ancestral patterns, or responsibilities related to your physical home, and this may be highlighted around the 11th when the demands of your career create a direct conflict with your obligations within your private life. Discipline is best channeled by courageously addressing foundational issues, creating clear and healthy boundaries within family, and accepting necessary responsibilities that come with building a secure home base. And by applying discipline to your home and family life, you are building a stronger emotional foundation from which your future freedom can truly expand. With natal Saturn in Capricorn, as Saturn is your ruler, you are especially attuned to its lessons of structure and discipline. And this month, the pressure is constructive, asking you to bring more structure to your thoughts, learning, and how you communicate. This is a time for serious study and for building a more masterful command of your words. A tension could arise around the 11th between a desire to learn about big picture ideas and the responsibility to communicate your own thoughts with compassion and nuance. And so your discipline is best channeled by committing to a course of study, practicing mindful communication, and taking the time to carefully structure your most important ideas. Your mental discipline is your greatest asset this month, allowing you to structure your thoughts and communicate with complex truths with wisdom and compassion. With natal Saturn in Aquarius, your structures are built on ideals and innovative systems, but this month, the pressure is on a much more tangible area of your life, such as your finances or your personal values. You could feel a sense of financial limitation or material limitation in some way, or recognize a pressing need to get to a serious state of mind about your budget or long-term security in some way. And a reality check could arrive around the 11th, highlighting a conflict between a shared financial obligation, for example, and your own income or value system. And so your discipline is best channeled by creating a solid, realistic financial plan or getting crystal clear on what you truly value. You are being asked to build a tangible security based on a foundation of authentic self-worth. The financial pressures you feel are a call to build new structures of self-worth based not on ideals, but on tangible and disciplined financial stewardship. So really take care of how you handle your assets this month. With natal Saturn in Pisces, this is kind of like your Saturn return 2.0, or it could be 3.0 at this point. And so a profound period of maturation is going to take place where the pressure is entirely on you, your identity, your path, and your approach to life in general. You are in the process of building a completely new personal structure. This could come into sharp focus around the 11th when a practical demand or even critiques from like other people in your life could force you to get real about who you are and what you are truly responsible for. And so your discipline must be channeled into the hard work of taking full ownership of your life in some way. And this means setting healthy boundaries, accepting your duties, and committing to building your new identity from the ground up, brick by brick. The intense personal pressures you feel are forging a new identity, teaching you that true strength is built by accepting responsibility for your own life's structure.
And if you're a real hardcore subscriber, you will know if you look at my community section on my posts that I am giving away a free detailed personalized birth chart reading to somebody on this channel. And I said, look, I will go over how to do that in my October forecast. And well, this is the October forecast. So now let's go over how to do that. So I'm going to make this simple. I don't want you to go through any loopholes. I want you to either A, comment one thing below from any of the previous forecast videos I've made, whether it was the September forecast or one of the planetary transit forecast videos that either has been coming into fruition or that actually came true for you. Or B, I want you to comment something that you are looking forward to in this October, something in your life or maybe in your living situation or your job situation, whatever it may be, and let me know like what energy you're looking forward to the most. And if you need to watch the forecast video before you come up with that, then watch the forecast videos and then tell me what you're looking forward to the most, because I want to see and get some feedback on how my forecast videos are actually affecting you guys. And in return for this feedback that you're giving me, because I'm all about mutually beneficial relationships, I will give one of you a free reading. And I don't know how to message people, but I will figure out how to do that once I'm back from my trip. It will all be 100% random, trust me. I will figure out the mechanism, I promise, but I promise I'll make it fair. I'm like one of the good Libras. I want to make this fair. But also, I wish I could give everybody a reading because, I don't know, I'm a Libra, but yeah.